And Wisconsin's Political Talk.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, welcome back. Big sports weekend all the way around.
Yes, it was, Crudy. Happy Monday, man. Great to be with you as always, buddy.
Now, I guess that you probably watched that glorious Packer victory yesterday.
It was something.
Or were you flipping back and forth with the World Series?
Not one little bit.
No, I didn't watch any baseball.
No, Brewers are out, man. I'm not watching.
I heard there was a great pumpkin at the National Park yesterday.
Yeah.
I heard Donald Trump was going to the game, and it wasn't worthwhile enough. I figured someone would capture that moment, and they bring it to us, Dom, and I think we've got the moment. Do we not have the moment? I think we've got the moment. Fancy Brian, you probably got this moment as well. Donald Trump featured on the scoreboard. First, there was cheers for veterans, right? Returning veterans.
Yeah, they're in the stadium and they're putting, the cameras on people, and they put the cameras on the veterans on the big screen, and people are cheering for the veterans.
And then they put Donald Trump on the screen. And we've got the sound of this. Do we not, Fancy Brian? Play it for the people, if you'd be so kind.
I actually have two different cuts.
All right, let's hear it. Turn that music up so you can't hear the boos. Now, that's some serious booing, man.
Yeah, it got to like 100 decibels, I'm told.
That's the Washington Nationals Park. Now, Don, we've been at a Donald Trump rally, and he's, basically trapped us in the press pen and blasted the music. How high were the decibels then?
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
It wasn't 100.
It wasn't 100, no, but it was like 80, 90. It was bad. It
was
hurt
painful.
my ears. Yes.
At like 95, it was painful. Dom, how would you like to have 100 decibels of hate raining down upon you and specifically directed at you? And they didn't stop with the booing, Dom. And I know many of our audience were good Packer fans watching the game last night. Well, here was what else you missed at the Nationals Park Game 5 World Series. Donald Trump, the fan of honor, play it for the people. That one's got to sting a little.
Lock him up. Well,
now, Joe Scarborough took some issue with that, Dom, but I think he was the only one.
Why is Scarborough? What's the problem? Why does he take issue with it?
Before we go there, and I will tell you why Scarborough.
All right, I'm going to make a note because we got to have that conversation.
Go look on our Facebook page. I got a little article there. Some source material.
All right.
From the Raw story.
Your favorite.
Dominic, but I wanted to point out the booing and the chance of lock him up, got to be a bad night for most people. But for Donald Trump, that might be the best moment of his week because it's only getting worse from there.
Did you see the actual video of it happening? So Trump and his entourage, the whole despicable crew.
They kind of wiped the smile off his face, didn't they, Don?
They're clapping. All of a sudden, the booing starts and
cascaded upon him.
Trump looks at his wife and goes, "Wow." You see the words.
Even Matt Gaetz looked shocked.
Yeah. Do we have the first one again? Let's just play it one more time so everybody
Let it
gets
wash
to hear.
over you.
Yes, let's embrace it. Let's hear it once again.
Who do you think made the decision to turn the music back on?
And I don't think Trump's used to that. He doesn't go out in public a whole lot.
Ever.
I think he
Ever.
would get a whole lot more of that had he, if he pokes his head up a little bit more.
I think we got to play the other one again as well. Lock him up, Fancy. Now, that sounds familiar for any of us that have, let's say, been to a Trump rally in Mosinee or South Bend, Indiana, or Waukesha, or maybe went to the RNC in Cleveland. They were chanting "Lock her up" at the RNC the night he accepted the nomination, Dom.
Didn't Flynn also embrace the lock her up?
Yeah,
chant?
we saw Michael Flynn at a couple campaign stops. I believe Green Bay, Wisconsin, he was there.
Lock her up. Lock her up.
Yeah.
And you know what the most ironic part? And there is some breaking news, which is the reason why that would be the highlight, because Donald Trump made a big announcement, right? Woke the people up early on a Sunday morning. He wasn't going to church anyways, and had to tell you all, Americans, well, I killed the most important ISIS figure ever. Me, Donald Trump, I did that. And he still got booed that night.
Right.
Resoundingly. I mean, compare Barack Obama. We killed bin Laden. Very solemn address to the nation. Somewhat different from Donald Trump's style, let's just say. But then he goes to the ball game last night feeling very victorious. Too much winning, perhaps.
So much winning.
And he gets booed. The first time he goes in public as the president of the United States, not to a Trump property, not to a Trump golf course, not to one of his own restaurants, but the first time he effectively went out in public, and they boo his ass, and then they chant, "Lock him up, lock him up."
And I want to remind you about the Major League Baseball crowd, too. You guys were watching the game. I was flipping back and forth because I'm into the World Series.
Yeah,
I'm
you're a baseball guy. Yeah.
Generally, baseball crowds average about 10 years older than all the other major sports crowds. So their base is generally very conservative, and those people that were at the World Series probably had a lot of money last night, so he was being booed by a majority conservative crowd with money.
Now, there was more than just booing. There were veterans for impeachment holding up signs behind home plate.
Yes.
And someone else mentioned, Dom, I think it was you, some girls were, flashing the pitcher last night?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that.
Behind home plate, they were flashing Garrett Cole from like 4 rows back.
Like showing their breasts
Oh,
flashing?
yes.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Wow. Then I was behind because there were also the banners behind.
Yeah, they were to, if you're looking
The
at
batter's
behind
box.
home plate, they were to your viewing left.
Okay.
But center stage in the middle was the impeachment for veterans for impeachment. There was also a guy down there at the front row with a MAGA hat on, too. He left for a couple innings.
Was he intimidated by the women's breasts being exposed?
Maybe.
I
Had to
think
go
he was
see
too
Mother.
old for anything to work.
Oh, Pence.
Go remember his conversion therapy. Folks, we are the devil's advocates. Was it a big day for the president? A big Sunday, Dom. A doubleheader for the man. A big terrorist death.
We got to play some of it. And we'll get to it perhaps in the next segment. But you mentioned it briefly, Crudy. I think it's worth getting into. Trump's speech to the nation was terrible. I mean, and let's just say it: terrorist dead, good. Everyone is happy that man is no longer alive. But Trump and the way he described the scene, the way he got into it, the way he relished in it, the way he Trumpified something.
Can't wait till he releases the video.
It was
looking forward to that.
And what about the timeline now? And I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I've seen some of the postings.
The fact that he was golfing when the actual killing happened, Dom.
It seems that might be the case.
And then he got back to the White House and he gathered up the important-looking people and they went to the Situation Room for a photo op.
Well, what good is an Ethernet if it's not plugged into anything?
I did notice that at the center of the table, it was almost like they were not even utilizing the secured room, the situation room. Almost like, he got updates on the golf course, Dom.
So, yeah, it was while certainly, perhaps a time to come together as a nation. Remember, there's people out there that want to kill us. I mean, this guy, Baghdadi, was responsible or ordered the beheading of a Marquette grad here right in Milwaukee. So, yeah, down for that. But the man couldn't help himself. And then, of course, right away, the internet never forgets, baby. Everyone's retweeting Trump's old tweets about Obama when bin Laden was killed. Hey, why is he taking credit? It's all the servicemen did it, and, Barack Obama, yada, yada, yada. And then here he goes himself and taking the credit.
Well, Dom, we didn't even get to the breaking headline of the day, and that is the fact there will be a vote in the House this week. Impeachment, a public impeachment, just like the Republicans have been begging for. It's on, baby.
It's on. Found this one at themadison.com from the AP. House Democrats are preparing to unveil a resolution this week that will detail their next steps in the impeachment inquiry as it moves into a public phase. The resolution, which will be introduced and marked up in the House Rules Committee, appears to be the first vote the full House will take related to impeachment after the House did not vote to formally authorize an impeachment inquiry earlier this month. Democratic sources say the resolution is intended to set up the rules and the procedures for the next stage of the inquiry, including how the House Intelligence Committee can provide information to the Judiciary Committee, which would likely take up articles of impeachment.
Can't wait.
There we go.
I
mean, it's going to be another busy day. A little bit more here. The Rules Committee website says the resolution is directing certain committees to continue their ongoing investigations as part of the existing House of Representatives inquiry into whether sufficient grounds exist for the House of Representatives to exercise its constitutional power to impeach Donald Trump. The text of the resolution has not been released, but House Rules Chairman Jim McGovern, a Massachusetts Democrat, said in a statement that the measure will lay out how the House is, quote, ensuring transparency as it moves toward the public phase of the impeachment inquiry. This is the right thing to do for the institution and the American people, McGovern said in a statement.
Dominic, I'm pretty pumped about this week. I'm excited. I hope Donald Trump shares my enthusiasm for this big week. Although last night might have taken some of the luster off. Goes out in public for the very first time. Not to one of his typical Klan rallies. And he got warmly welcomed by the Washington Nationals fans.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have the cultists in front of you and people can actually tell you what they think.
A cascade of boos.
Boo this man! Boo this man!
We've never been booed here. Have we been booed?
We've never been booed.
Ever been booed.
No!
Too much winning. Come back with us. Devil's Advocates Radio. You can join us. 844-967-2789. Be happy. It's a Monday.
Constant through all the years, Ray. In baseball.
I think it's a very unfair thing, what's going on.
There's no crying in baseball! Boo this man!
Let's give him credit. At least he didn't spike himself.
Thinking of a new electric bike next year? Well, fall's the best time to buy. Over $400 off any electric bike at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes. Make a down payment on a fall sale price, but you don't have to pick up the e-bike until April. Free winter storage. The guarantee starts when you pick up your new e-bike next April. $1,700 e-bikes are $1,200. $1,200 e-bikes are $900. $1,100 e-bikes are $600 for a new e-bike. Fall is the time to get a new e-bike. Save $400. Pick it up in April at Crazy Lenny's.
More power, more fight, the most heart. Gingras, Thompson & Walks is more than a law firm. We're family. We believe in doing our best to help people in need and right the wrong that's occurred. For more than 35 years, we've helped thousands of clients across the state of Wisconsin get the justice they deserve. Our proven track record of success isn't based solely on our knowledge of the judicial system. Rather, we make it our priority to get to know our clients and their cases so we can best represent them. Gingras, Thompson & Walks. Find us online at gtwlawyers.com.
HU998 wants to remind you that last month it was revealed to county supervisors that millions of budgeted transit dollars were deposited into county benefits. A national economist found numerous interesting trails. In one trail, the wheel tax increase went to the transit budget. The transit budget ran millions under, and at the end of the year, nearly that same amount was added to county benefits. At the same time, County Executive Abley also cut a number of routes in his budget. While you stand in a cold corner longer or walk further in the cold because of route cuts, the county management seems to be more about their political comfort. Pressure from citizens has forced Abley to pull back on some of those route cuts. More of your routes will be on the chopping block next week. You can stop this today by calling your county supervisor at 414-278-4222. That's 414-278-4222. Tell your county supervisor to stop route cuts.
This message paid for by ATU Local 998.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Monday, everybody. You can join us on the phones at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I worked hard booking, just not for today. Nobody wanted to come on today.
No?
No, apparently not.
Tomorrow?
Yes, I've got Jesse Poyen coming on tomorrow's show.
Fine journalist.
I got Mark Pocan coming on a week from tomorrow. I got Judge Joe Karofsky coming on November 15th. And I'm working on many other fine guests.
Many people are talking about it.
Big league guests.
Oh, huge. Huge.
We'll see.
Once again, 844-967-2789. So you will be our guest today. Jake from Milwaukee, you're first. Happy Monday, Jake. What do you got?
Hey, Jake.
Yeah. Hey, I have knowledge that Trump wasn't actually on the golf course. He was down in Syria with his Rambo gear on, taking out ISIS himself. So just to let you know,
he didn't even have a gun. He just ran in.
Yeah. I believe if I didn't have a weapon, I'd still run in.
The thing is, like, you'll see the footage. He actually had a hole-in-one and hit him with a golf ball right in the head and killed him. So just letting you know. But this is what I find kind of interesting. Like 2 weeks ago, he abandons the Kurds, double crosses them, and then now he has Baghdadi, right? So was it a quid pro quo? I mean, did Turkey give him more information on where to go, and he would give up that so he could look good? I mean,
I'm not clear that that's the case, Jake. My understanding is he made it more difficult to execute this, and that he knew that this covert operation was in the works. And when he withdrew the troops, he made it harder on those, SEALs or special forces?
Made it more difficult because of that particular situation. Yes, this apparently has been in the works for some time. And though Trump's actions on the withdrawal of troops from Syria, at least as he described him to us, and caused that whole hubbubaloo and leaving the Kurds and all that, well, of course, that had a detrimental effect on the planning and execution of this mission, to my understanding of the reporting.
Eric Schmidt and others at the New York Times, President Trump knew the Central Intelligence Agency and Special Operations Commandos were zeroing in on a location for Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the Islamic State leader, when he ordered American troops to withdraw from northern Syria earlier this month, intelligence, military, and counter-terrorism officials said on Sunday. So basically, he double-crossed his own troops. Now, I read on briefly. For months, intelligence officials had kept Mr. Trump apprised of what he had set as a top priority, the hunt for Mr. al-Baghdadi, the world's most wanted terrorist. You think I'd know how to say his name, Dom, but I don't. But Mr. Trump's abrupt withdrawal order 3 weeks ago disrupted the meticulous planning underway and forced Pentagon officials to speed up the plan for the risky night raid before their ability to control troops, spies, and reconnaissance aircraft disappeared with the pullout, the officials said. Mr. al-Baghdadi's death in the raid on Saturday, they said, occurred largely in spite of and not because of Mr. Trump's actions.
Crudy, the planning for the raid began this past summer when the CIA first got surprising information about al-Baghdadi's general location in a village deep inside a part of northwestern Syria controlled by rival Qaeda groups. The information came after the arrest and interrogation of one of his wives and a courier, two American officials said. Armed with the initial tip, the CIA worked closely with Iraqi and Kurdish intelligence officials in Iraq and Syria to identify more precisely his whereabouts and to put spies in place to monitor his periodic movements. American officials said the Kurds continued to provide information to the CIA on his location even after Trump's decision to withdraw the American troops left the Syrian Kurds to confront a Turkish offensive alone. The Syrian and Iraqi Kurds, one official said, provided more intelligence for the raid than any single country. According to a Syrian engineer who spoke to the villagers living near the raid site, Mr. al-Baghdadi had sought shelter in the home of Abu Muhammad Salama, a commander of another extremist group, Horas al-Din. The commander's fate in the raid and the precise nature of his relationship to al-Baghdadi is not clear. As the Army's elite Delta Force Commando unit began drawing up and rehearsing plans to conduct the mission to kill or capture the ISIS leader, they knew they faced formidable hurdles. The location was deep inside territory controlled by al-Qaeda. The skies over that part of the country are controlled by Syria and Russia. And Crudy, my understanding as well is, although Nancy Pelosi and Congress did not get a heads up, perhaps a few Republicans may have, but Trump said he told the Russians what was going on.
And the Turkish. Erdogan also knew. Putin and Erdogan, they got calls. Because he was, flying through? I heard Rush Limbaugh explain it all away. Hey, don't you mind this helicopter flights going through your airspace? Look the other way. Just don't pay attention. Trump just had to give him a heads up. Because that's not a leak. It's only a leak if Nancy Pelosi, goes to the press, which there's no proof she has ever done. She's had a security clearance. Dom, I've seen this guy leak into Russian ambassadors in the Oval Office. I've seen this guy leaking on live television about why he fired James Comey. It was the Russian thing. The rusher. To take off the pressure. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. It's Monday. It's been a long weekend. I'm playing hurt here, Coach. Maybe I'll tell the audience why I can't go out in public. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Phone lines open. Lots of your calls today at 844-967-2789.
Hey, is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
Want to be more presidential? Tweet the Devil's Advocates at Devil Radio.
Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I thought it was really important to share with people my diagnosis of cancer. The Affordable Care Act is the kind of thing that's going to keep me alive for a long, long time. Why? Because they can't throw me off of my health insurance simply because I have cancer. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare provided for that. They can't raise my rates and my premiums so high beyond community rating and beyond age rating. Obamacare created that. They can't cap the amount of benefits that they are willing to give me over a lifetime. I have medicine that costs $18,000 a month. They can't force me to pay out-of-pocket costs beyond a certain point. All of that happened because of Obamacare. Thank you, Obama.
You can listen to the Devil's Advocates interviews at DomandCrute.com. Click on the podcast tab and select interviews. That's DomandCrute.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
Good afternoon. I'm Pat Pobletti, and our report from Monday, October 28th is brought to you by Spectrum. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan said this morning he will serve as president of his new 501c3, which will partner with others to fight poverty and increase economic opportunities. But first, Governor Tony Evers today unveiled members of a task force aimed at reducing prescription drug prices. The panel will be chaired by Nathan Hudick, the Deputy Commissioner for the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance. Members include designees representing the state departments of Justice, Health Services, Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, employee trust funds, as well as a bipartisan group of 3 lawmakers. The 21-person task force will also include 12 private sector representatives from across the healthcare industry. The panel is scheduled to meet for the first time on November 20th. Additionally, Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Daniel Kelly said it will be a challenge to break through the, quote, noise of the 2020 election cycle, but he hopes to do it by talking to voters one-on-one. Kelly, running for his first full 10-year term since being appointed by former Governor Scott Walker in 2016, appeared on Sunday on Upfront, produced in partnership with WisPolitics.com. He said he wasn't sure what to expect in his first ever campaign, but said he has been going all over the state talking about the role of the judiciary. Kelly, who's considered part of the court's conservative wing, will face Dane County Circuit Court Judge Jill Karofsky and Marquette University Law School Professor Ed Falone in the February primary. The top 2 candidates will then move on to a spring general election in April, which falls on the same day as the state's presidential preference primary. Finally, Ryan's nonprofit will be called the American Idea Foundation and is based in his hometown of Janesville. FEC filings show Ryan began transferring money in March to the American Idea Foundation from his personal campaign account and his political action committee. Altogether, he moved $7.2 million to the group, with nearly $5.6 million of that coming from his personal campaign account. For WisPolitics Midday, sponsored by Spectrum, I'm Pat Pobletti.
This has been WisPolitics Midday. For more state government and political news, visit WisPolitics.com.
Dom, the Devil's Advocates are going on an adventure.
Join Crute and I for our inaugural 420-2020 cruise from our friends at Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. We begin in the City of Angels with the Devil's Advocates reception on April 17th, departing the next day for a 7-night cruise with stops in Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta, Mexico on board a shiny new Carnival Panorama cruise ship.
Expedia prices local service. Visit them on Madison's west side off Mineral Point Road or Google Expedia Cruise Ship Centers.
60% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Played a little beat up, a little buzzed up. Got to do what I got to do, Dom.
Leaving it all on the field. Yeah, come on, man. You got to share this little story, Crudy. Why are you on the mend right now?
Well, after that big game against Ohio State.
What big game? You mean that ass kicking the Badgers took?
Well, I also took my own ass kicking shortly thereafter. Took the kids out to the pumpkin patch. I think a very warm and fuzzy and safe place. We've been going to the same place for the entirety of my youngest son's life. 13 consecutive years, same pumpkin patch.
Aw, so you know this place fairly well then.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, they got the corn maze and they got the wagon rides out to the pumpkins. This year, my kids are like, can we just, pick a pumpkin up by the fence and take it back and, maybe we'll do a few of the activities. We're like, okay, whatever. They're teenagers. Too big shot now. So, anyways, we were going down, and I was having some fun, too. Jumping on big tractor tires. I was doing that. I was feeling quite coordinated, and then I was, throwing caution to the wind, jumping around and doing that stuff, but came through it okay. And then I got into, some underground tunnels. They had like tunnel slides, and I survived those just fine. And then I went up to a hay mow, and they had some ropes and different stuff for the kids to climb on.
So you're in a barn, in the upper hay mow of a barn.
In the top of the barn.
Yep, and they got ropes that you can like swing on?
Yeah, and then they had this this band, and it was a tension band. I forget, my kid knew what it was called, but I tried standing on it, balancing style. And then I jumped off, and I had on big-ass Doc Martens, and the toe divoted between like 3 hay bales, and I went forward with my felt 240-ish pounds. And I thought for sure I had either dislocated or broken my ankle at that point. And
I can't feel my legs!
It hurt. I could feel them. I was feeling some serious pain. This paramedic comes up to me and goes, I'm a paramedic. I said, once upon a time, I was a trained paramedic, and this hurts like hell.
Take the leg, Doc. Take the leg.
So anyways, then my kids got to go pick out their pumpkin, right? I'm sitting there with a dangling ankle. They leave me at the picnic table, so they go and pick pumpkins, and they, take me home. And I got to walk back to the car. I wasn't going to ride in, the pumpkin wagon. So I got my youngest, I'm walking, I'm leaning on him. He's like, "You're heavy, Dad."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah."
240-ish.
240-ish, and I was giving him most of the weight. So, he was bearing it.
He was working it.
Wife pulled up the car, dropped the kids off, went to urgent care, and I actually made an appointment. I got to tell you, it was the most efficient trip to the emergency room I've ever had in my life. And it's not broken down, but I got to tell you, I've sprained some ankles. This has got to be the most severe sprain I've ever had.
That sucks.
And my right foot, my left foot, very shapely. I've got an athlete's ankles, Dom. But that right foot, it's bigger than Fancy Brian's. I mean, it's ginormous. I've got my wife said I got cankles. I've got muffin top. It's all inflamed to the point where I can't even get my foot in a shoe. I got the crutches in the boot, but a tough guy like me, I don't need that.
No.
Well, I wouldn't be able to drive the car then. I had to get into work and do this fine show with you.
That just goes to show you, man. Working on the farm is hard and dangerous work, and if you're not properly trained and prepared, you could hurt yourself. So you're lucky to get out alive, son.
That will be the last time I ever try to balance on a line in a hay mow wearing some big honking shoes. Maybe the last time I ever leave the house. I would be like Trump. I might get hurt or get booed out there in the world. I'm just going to stay in friendly confines.
White House to golf course to Doral.
You know what? Here's the worst part. My poor wife's got a hugely busy schedule. She works her butt off. And I have now she's got another dependent child, 240-pound dependent. Honey, can you get me a sandwich? I really can't get
And there's nothing,
it's
a sprain, so there's nothing you can do. You just got to wait for it to heal.
Well, I've got a few painkillers to take the edge off.
Okay, but that might help the pain, doesn't help the healing.
No, does not. And I'm hopeful, a couple days I'll be, right back to the spry guy I always was. But in the meantime, I'm just praying to God the pain wears off before the painkillers do.
Yeah, amen, brother. Well, I hope you're on the mend. I hope you feel better, my friend.
Well, I was feeling no pain last night watching the Packers do their magic, and that was quite good. And then Donald Trump, I got to, some late night highlights of the president getting booed. That was encouraging to me. But Dom, this speechifying the president did, pre-booing. He made a big announcement. He told the world, and I'm thinking, is he resigning? When he
crossed your fingers, please. Yeah, he tweeted out the night before, right?
Big announcement in the morning. 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern. He wasn't going to church, as I mentioned before, Don, but we do have some of the sound. And, I'm not saying when one offs a terrorist head, one should be gracious, but one should not handle it the way, to my opinion, that Donald Trump handled it.
I almost felt like it was like Pulp Fiction, and Jules, he gave a little speech, before he offs somebody, before he puts a cap in somebody's ass, as he says. It was a little too tough guy for me, not very.
And totally positive identification. It was him.
You know how they identified the body? Bloody underwear.
Ew. DNA.
So reports CNN.
Let's keep going. Totally positive instead of just positive, because if it's totally positive, you think that's on the script? Totally, I totally don't think so.
Do you think he had his name inscribed on the inside of his underwear down? Do you think that was the dead on tell? Trump's got his name inside his underwear, his whitey tighties. Oh God. Monday, Tuesday, just so he remembers to change them occasionally.
Oh, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday. I'll go cuddle.
You're assuming he knows the days of the week.
Last night, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice.
Good. Cut 12.
Last night, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead.
Is dead. Like the American dream under Donald Trump.
Is dead. Cut 13.
He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way.
Now, Pentagon
the compound had been cleared by this time, with people either surrendering or being shot and killed. 11 young children were moved out of the house and are uninjured.
Sorry to interrupt your president, but my understanding is Pentagon officials cannot confirm Donald Trump's version, his telling of it.
The whimpering, the crying, that portion of it.
It's almost like Donald Trump was ready to take him furniture shopping or something.
Let's keep going.
He moved on him like a bitch.
Yeah, yes, he did. Cut 14, please, Brian. 14?
He died after, and the losers who worked for him, and losers they are, they had no idea what they were getting into. In some cases, they were very frightened puppies. In other cases, they were hardcore killers.
Frightened puppies
and hardcore killers. I mean,
he can't even make a dog analogy. The man does not have a dog because dogs don't like him either.
Cut 15, Trump on the dead ISIS leader.
Baghdadi's demise demonstrates America's relentless pursuit of terrorist leaders and our commitment to the enduring and total defeat of ISIS and other terrorist organizations.
But one guy got offed. That has not been accomplished through this bragging about the death of one man, you know, the miserable, desperate.
Whimpering, crying, screaming, cowardly. I mean, that's just, I'm not clear that that's necessary. Number one, it can't be verified. At least it's not being verified.
It's being refuted by his own Pentagon at this point.
Well, it's not being refuted. They just can't confirm it. Right? So, but is that necessary? Is that necessary to tell the American people?
Classy with a K.
This is how we off this guy. And I mean, I don't know. I don't recall specifically Obama's speech about Osama bin Laden. But
it sounded nothing like that.
I'm pretty sure it didn't sound like that. I don't recall anybody talking like that about the death of a terrorist group or organization or person to that degree. And
you remember the one time
the
Tony Soprano curb stomped that guy?
I do, and his tooth got caught in his cuff and his pants. I remember that. But that was a TV show. This is reality, question mark, with the reality president? What's the point? Is he trying to...
He's trying to get a role in a Scorsese movie, clearly.
Trying to dissuade future terrorists from doing that? Trying to talk himself up, trying to diminish the terrorist? I guess I'm not clear why those descriptive words were necessary when informing the American people that we have defeated and killed a terrorist enemy.
Well, Dominic, perhaps I could shed a little light on this subject.
Yeah?
President Donald Trump released a photo of the dog, the canine, who was wounded in the raid that resulted in the death of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The commander-in-chief did not declassify the name of the dog.
But he
released 1010, perhaps? German Shepherd.
They wouldn't give out the name of the dog, but they gave out they put out a picture of the dog?
Yeah, here's what he says. We have declassified a picture of the wonderful dog, name not declassified, that did such a great job in capturing and killing the leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. So he tweeted out a picture of the dog, Dom, the wounded dog. That seems like a sympathy move to me.
And then today, but of course, we mentioned Trump did not
pray for the dog,
inform Congress. Trump did not inform Nancy Pelosi. He did inform Russia. And apparently this morning, cut number 40, Brian, asked why he didn't share this with Congress. Let's go cut 40.
Well, I guess the only thing is they were talking about why didn't I give the information to Adam Schiff and his committee? And the answer is because I think Adam Schiff is the biggest leaker in Washington.
And based on what? Nancy Pelosi, I mean, he said this during the interchange after his 10-minute speech. He hung out with the reporters for a while and bloviated a bit and basically said, well, we didn't want it to leak. When asked, why didn't you tell Speaker Pelosi about this? Well, we don't want any leaking. Really? Really? I mean, this is Donald Trump.
Shifty Schiff.
Oh, Shifty Schiff.
That's his narrative.
And Nancy. They're going to leak. They're going to leak.
You can't trust the Democrats not to leak, Dom.
It's just
Republicans, they're very trustworthy.
Oh, they are?
Oh, by the way, Dom, we also know the name of the dog.
Oh, we do now.
Conan. Either like Conan the Barbarian.
My favorite.
Or Conan O'Brien, the redheaded 6'4"
I prefer
late night toast.
Conan the Barbarian.
TBS. Probably.
What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. That
is good. That is good. So did
That's
Trump
exactly what I had in mind.
Did Trump declassify Conan's name?
No, Trump didn't. Other multiple, let me see if I got this right. Multiple sources, apparently, multiple Defense Department sources have told me, according to James Laporta, a journalist, the dog's name is Conan.
Go Conan.
And that's exactly what I was thinking, Fancy Brian. You are a mind reader, my friend. Do you think that's what Trump was? Do you think he thought he was at Central Casting, and this is how you exert American might? You know, I'll blow you up in your house. I'll send Delta Force to your house to blow you up, and then I'll take your oil.
Protect the oil. Well, yes, thank you, Delta Force. Great job. Thank you, President Trump, for giving the thumbs up, ?
Thank you, Conan the dog.
Thank you, Conan the Barbarian. And I guess
at least Conan served his country.
We should probably give Donald Trump as much credit as he gave Barack Obama when Osama bin Laden was killed. Seems only fair.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. More of your phone calls. Lines are open and toll free at 844-967-2789. Just don't harsh my voice.
The American dream is dead.
What'd you do?
I think I did our country a great fire.
Oh my God, we're burning alive!
Thinking of a new electric bike next year? Well, fall's the best time to buy. Over $400 off any electric bike at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes. Make a down payment on a fall sale price, but you don't have to pick up the e-bike until April. Free winter storage. The guarantee starts when you pick up your new e-bike next April. $1,700 e-bikes are $1,200. $1,200 e-bikes are $900. $1,100 e-bikes are $600 for a new e-bike. Fall is the time to get a new e-bike. Save $400. Pick it up in April at Crazy Lenny's.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in the former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern. This is Dom from the Devil's Advocates. You know, in the 7 years that Crudy and I have been doing the show, we have never had a more engaged, dialed in, and motivated audience, and we love them for it. Now is the time for you to reach the greatest audience ever. Call now, advertise with the Devil's Advocates and Real Resistance Radio. Market your products or services, get your message out, join the resistance. Call us at 414-635-0872. That's 414-635-0872, or go to realresistanceradio.com.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. You can hit us up on the phones, talk, or text. It's toll-free at 844-967-2789.
Dom, I know we've got a little more sound for the audience. I want to jump into this piece briefly, though. Mike Pence, the vice president, went on the Foxy News with Chris Wallace yesterday. I'm going to read. David Edwards wrote up the interview. Vice President Mike Pence on Sunday refused to say why President Donald Trump broke tradition by not notifying select congressional leaders known as the Gang of Eight about the raid that allegedly killed ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. During a Sunday interview with Pence, Wallace noted that Trump admitted that he had not told Democratic congressional leaders about the raid. Here's what Wallace asked. The implication seeming to be that he was worried that Pelosi or members of Congress would leak this, Wallace explained. Does the president not trust the Speaker of the House with sensitive national security information? Yes, sir.
We have some sound on this.
Oh, good.
Let's do it.
Play it.
Fancy Brian, cut number 70, please.
Does the president not trust the Speaker of the House with sensitive national security information?
Chris, I don't think that was the implication at all. I think
yes,
from
was.
the time that we got actionable intelligence, the president's total focus here was on a successful mission and the safety of American troops.
I understand that, but why didn't he tell Nancy Pelosi?
We maintained the tightest possible security here. And when we got the confirmation on Saturday that al-Baghdadi was on site and our troops began to move.
And he goes on and doesn't really answer the question. But Wallace, he sticks to it, right? Cut number 71, again, why not? The implication, I would say, yes, of course that was the implication. And answer the question, Mr. Vice President. Cut 71.
When they were wheels up, out of country, no American casualties, and al-Baghdadi is dead.
We all applaud that. I do want to ask you, though, I mean, it's my job as a newsman, sir, respectfully, why didn't the president notify the Speaker of the House?
Chris, I just want to emphasize the president's focus here throughout, particularly the last several days, was on the mission to bring a man who is the most wanted man in the
yada 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 doesn't answer the question. And what, like Trump has to be the guy to pick up the phone and to do that? I mean, doesn't he have people? Can he have his people do it? Give him a hey, give him a nod. Go tell the Gang of Eight what's up.
Dominic, I want to read from the conclusion of the Raw Story piece, the write-up of this interview. Still refusing to answer the question, Pence added, "Let me also say what a privilege it is for me to be a small part of this in the Situation Room, because we mourn with those who mourn and grieve with those who grieve. Our hearts are with Kayla Miller's family, but as a Hoosier, I will tell you, I remember when Peter Kasich was killed. It broke the heart of the people of Indiana." Of course, this is all in response to why didn't Nancy Pelosi get a phone call, but I read on. "I spent time with his parents, and for me to be sitting alongside a president who brought the man responsible for that justice will be something I will cherish for the rest of my life." And Dominic, how do we know that that all happened in the Situation Room? Because there is timestamps. And, they did go into the Situation Room. But my understanding, according to Obama's photographer, Dom, the timestamp does not add up with the timeline supplied by the White House. Let me read briefly. Sunday morning, the White House photographer for former President Barack Obama suggested that members of Donald Trump's administration, along with the president, posed for a Situation Room picture in the wake of the U.S. military raid that resulted in the death of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi at the time other than the White House claimed. Because Trump was golfing, my understanding, Dom. I read on. Pete Souza, the former director of the White House Photography Office, noted that the timestamp of the photo did not match up with the reported time of the operation. On Twitter, he wrote, "The raid, as reported, took place at 3:30 p.m. Washington time. The photo, as shown in the camera IPTC data, was taken at 17:05:24. That'd be 5:05 for those not paying attention to military time, Dom. In a separate tweet, he wrote, "It's entirely possible that the raid was still going on at 5:05 p.m. Before drawing definitive conclusions about the photo, reporters need to nail down the actual timeline of the raid." But that one, Dom, I got to tell you, that one looks very, very post. Compare that with the Situation Room picture when Osama bin Laden was killed. And it wasn't Obama and Joe Biden leading the way. It was the generals. And it didn't look like it was staged at like 2 hours post-raid, after Trump took a shower after playing 18 holes. Grueling Sunday for the man, Dom. Saturday, I guess that'd be.
The New York Times, in the article we quoted earlier, Crudy, says that altogether the American troops were on the ground in the compound for around 2 hours. Again, this is according to Trump, clearing the building of fighters and scooping up information that the president said contained important details on ISIS operations. So Trump's given it a 2-hour window.
So I'm sure he was sitting there because Trump, has so much patience. Sitting there with his tie still nicely tied all the way to the top on a Saturday afternoon, didn't loosen the tie. I mean, if you notice the war room, the Situation Room when it was Obama and Biden, those guys weren't wearing ties.
Adam Schiff had some comments on this as well. Brian, before we go to break, let's do cut number 35.
The reason to notify the Gang of Eight is frankly more important when things go wrong. But had this escalated, had something gone wrong, had we gotten into a firefight with the Russians, it's to the administration's advantage to...
As customary, but there's nothing customary. There's nothing normal about this presidency.
Folks, we're the devil's advocates. There's nothing normal about this radio show. Some say it's the greatest radio show ever. You're listening to it right now, and you've got excellent taste for doing so. Come back. In hour 2, we'll take plenty more of your phone calls at 844-967-2789. You can also text us at that very same number. Dom occasionally reads those.
We'll get to them.
Yeah, the booty text, Dom. You take those right away, don't you?
Always.
Come back. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Hour 2 is next.
If politics is boring, you're doing it wrong. Check out more at domandcroot.com.
I think I would have been a good general, but who knows?
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on WRRD 1510 AM. Weekdays, hear the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Next, it's Stephanie Miller from 9 to 11. From 11 till 2, the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Matt Flynn Direct. From 3 to 6, the Devil's Advocates. And at 6, it's Busted Pencils, Brandy Grayson, and Maggie Dawn. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
Madison Liquidators has officially moved into a bigger, nicer showroom off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and they are proud to announce they have expanded to provide educational and healthcare institutional furnishings. They have great new offerings of quality new office furnishings from industry leaders like Groupe Lacoste and Via Seating. And you can see the expanded and extensive inventory of used furniture online at MadisonLiquidators.com, or you can call Kelly and have her help you make a plan for your new space. Start today at MadisonLiquidators.com and tell them you heard them on Talk 92.7 FM.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Opening impeachment. Dog declassified. I'm Mike Moss. Democrats are preparing a vote Thursday on a resolution that would pave the way for impeachment hearings to be open to the public. Correspondent Manu Raju with more from Capitol Hill.
The letter Nancy Pelosi is circulating says the resolution establishes the procedure for hearings that are open to the American people, authorizes the disclosure of deposition transcripts, and outlines procedures to transfer evidence to the Judiciary Committee as it considers potential articles of impeachment and sets forth due process rights to the president and his counsel.
Correspondent Caitlin Collins with the response from the White House press secretary, Stephanie Grisham.
She said, quote, Speaker Pelosi is finally admitting what the rest of America already knew, that Democrats were conducting an unauthorized impeachment proceeding, refusing to give the president due process, and their secret, shady, closed-door depositions are completely and irreversibly illegitimate.
President Trump has declassified a picture of that dog injured in the raid that resulted in the death of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. But Joint Chiefs Chairman General Mark Milley says pictures and videos remain secret.
We do have video, photos. We're not prepared at this time to release those. They're going through a declassification process. I think what you'll see here in the coming days is we'll set up some operational and tactical level briefings by Central Command, and you'll be provided some video and photos, etc. of that.
Fatalities are reported in Harrisonburg, North Carolina, in an accident involving an Amtrak train. All 45 aboard the train are okay, but there are fatalities linked to the accident. A man who allegedly opened fire at an off-campus party near Texas A&M has been arrested. 23-year-old Brandon Gonzalez now faces charges in the deaths of 2 and the wounding of 12 other people. On Wall Street, stocks were up today. The S&P 500 up 16 to a new high, and the Dow closed up 132. I'm Mike Moss.
More power, more fight, the most heart. Gingras, Thompson & Walks is more than a law firm. We're family. We believe in doing our best to help people in need and right the wrong that's occurred. For more than 35 years, we've helped thousands of clients across the state of Wisconsin get the justice they deserve. Our proven track record of success isn't based solely on our knowledge of the judicial system. Rather, we make it our priority to get to know our clients and their cases so we can best represent them. Gingras, Thompson & Walks. Find us online at gtwlawyers.com.
I don't see the support. I don't support it.
Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald doesn't see the support for legalized medicinal marijuana, even though the 2018 midterm referendum in 11 counties and the city of Waukesha passed by over 79%. Call Scott Fitzgerald at 608-266-5660. Tell him you support legalized medicinal marijuana.
No, I don't see it.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
A man accused of killing 5 staffers at a Maryland newspaper last year has pleaded guilty but not criminally responsible by reason of insanity.
Jared Ramos pleaded guilty to all 23 charges in the indictment, including 5 counts of first-degree murder, days before his trial was set to begin. The 39-year-old has cited a mental disorder that kept him from understanding the illegality of his actions at the time of the shooting at the Capital Gazette newspaper in Annapolis in 2018. Police have said Ramos held a long-standing grudge against the newspaper after losing a defamation suit. His plea means the case will skip the first phase of determining guilt and move on to a second phase determining whether he is criminally responsible, a jury trial that will weigh Maryland's version of the insanity defense. I'm Joe Ramsey.
Former Michigan State University President Luanna Simon has been ordered to stand trial on charges she lied about her knowledge of allegations against now imprisoned sports doctor Larry Nassar serving time for sex crimes against athletes. I'm Mike Moss.
Thinking about life insurance.
What do basketball, choir, drama club, and marching band all have in common? They're all high school activities that offer learning opportunities not necessarily found in the classroom. They take up just a fraction of a typical Wisconsin high school's budget, and they go a long way to giving young people the tools they need to thrive. High school activities, they're more than extracurricular. They're extra important, too. This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Scott Walker tweeting out from a La Quinta in a Rancho del Solio Ronald Reagan fashion shirt.
You know,
only
as a guy
online.
who's wearing a Bernie Sanders shirt, how can you
Mine's
rip on a
bootleg.
guy for wearing a Ronald Reagan shirt?
Buddy, I got a Bernie bootleg on. This is cool on so many levels. You don't even know how cool I am.
I do not. If it could just be a little tighter.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A court-appointed referee says Milwaukee attorney Robert Menard should be disbarred for mishandling millions of dollars in client funds. Menard is already facing criminal charges for stealing $700,000 from his uncle, clients, and ex-partner Alan Durzon. The referee, appointed by the state Supreme Court, found that Menard frequently used client funds to operate his business, sometimes to fund an overdrawn business account. The referee, James W. Moore Jr., said in his report, quote, "The scope of conduct in playing fast and loose with client money is simply breathtaking. This is far-reaching, deplorable, and disreputable conduct." You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's Political Talk.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Monday edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. The question of the hour, Dom. Who knew and when did they know it?
Who knew what?
About this raid to take out this ISIS leader.
Well, Nancy Pelosi didn't know. Adam Schiff didn't know.
Well, neither did, apparently, Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy.
Really?
According to Jordan Carney at thehill.com. The top 2 Republicans on Capitol Hill say they were not notified by the administration ahead of the weekend raid that led to the death of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Senate Majority Leader Moscow Mitch McConnell and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy separately told reporters on Monday that they were not given a heads up a day after Democrats criticized President Trump for failing to notify them. Here's a quote. "The administration attempted to let me know. I didn't connect with them before the president's press conference, but they attempted to let me know before he went public. So the two situations were handled exactly the same from my point of view." McConnell added. The disclosure that top members of the congressional GOP leadership weren't notified comes after top Democrats noted on Sunday that Trump failed to give them advance notice despite being members of the Gang of Eight, the group of lawmakers with the highest access to classified information. Here's a quote. Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The House must be briefed on this raid, which the Russians, but not top congressional leadership, were notified of in advance, and on the administration's overall strategy in the region. Our military and allies deserve strong, smart, and strategic leadership from Washington. Well, you're not going to get it from Trump, Nancy. Trump also didn't notify House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff, another member of the Gang of Eight. Trump has defended the decision, calling Schiff the biggest leaker in Washington. Well, I guess the only thing is they were talking about why didn't I give the information to Adam Schiff and his committee, Trump told reporters on Monday. And the answer is because I think Adam Schiff is the biggest leaker in Washington. The president had announced Sunday that some Washington leaders were not kept in the loop for fear of Washington leaks, saying leaks could not have caused the death of all of them, or leaks could have caused the death of all of them, referring to the Special Operations Forces carrying out the operation. But here is who did get a phone call. Lindsey Graham, Republican senator from South Carolina, and Richard Burr, Republican senator from North Carolina. Apparently, the president called them personally and told them after the successful raid.
So they still didn't get a heads up prior to the raid.
Not Burr and Lindsey Graham. And apparently, McConnell, it's not clear if Moscow Mitch got a phone call, after the fact. But could be an implication that he did get some notice, or at least the president reached out. But hell, Dom, I knew this ISIS leader was dead Saturday night. They were already aligning these events. The president's going to speak on Sunday morning.
Right.
He's going to tell you about the ISIS leader that died on Saturday night, while Trump was apparently out golfing.
We do have some sound of the aforementioned Senator Lindsey Graham. Let's hear what he has to say. Fancy Brian, cut 20, please.
This is a game changer with the killing of Baghdadi. This is a moment where we should all be proud of our American military and our intelligence community. This is a moment where President Trump's worst critic should say, "Well done, Mr. President."
Well done, Mr. President. Please resign now. Does that count? I mean, I'm totally fine with that. Someone had to make the call. Obviously, our intelligence community. We're going to now we love the intelligence community. Thursday, Friday, we weren't so fond of them, right? We're investigating the intelligence community, but now we like the intelligence community again. And I am totally fine, Republicans. I can say, well done, Mr. President. Now, because of all the other crap you've been pulling, how about you resign right now? Let's hear what else Graham had to say. Cut 21.
The president's position and my position is really not that far off. We really don't need a bunch of Americans in the safe zone. The international community should do that. But some American forces deployed with the SDF to make sure the oil does not ever fall back into the hands of ISIS, and Iran's not the biggest winner, makes a lot of sense.
So we're keeping troops in Syria? I guess?
I thought he was withdrawing our troops, Dom. I thought that was the whole point. Withdraw the troops, not move them around in Syria or perhaps mercenary them off to Saudi Arabia.
Well, as long as they pay the bills.
Congressional action, right? How did we end up sending troops to Saudi Arabia? Doesn't Congress have some say over whether or not we send troops?
Hell, man, how did we end up with the secret Saudi bases in the first Gulf War? Were you aware of those secret Saudi bases? I certainly was not.
No, Private First Class Croup was not aware of the secret Saudi bases. Dom, from the Washington Post, why Obama didn't release footage of the raid that killed Osama bin Laden.
Now, Trump is apparently considering releasing footage of this particular raid.
Dominic, as he announced, Adam Taylor writes, as he announced the death of Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi on Sunday, President Trump described the event in detail, saying the footage of the operation was similar to watching a movie like Rambo, and recounting how the feared terrorist was whimpering, screaming, and crying as U.S. forces closed in. Now it turns out the public may get to watch part of the movie themselves. Trump
too
said
fast, too furious.
Trump said Monday that the White House was considering what evidence of the raid could be released publicly. We may take certain parts of it and release it, Trump told reporters as he departed Washington to Chicago. At a news conference later Monday, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark A. Milley, said that the photos and images from the raid were undergoing a declassification process, but that the issue of public release could be resolved in the coming days. I think he's very proud of this video, Dom. I think, what will play better at dinner than this ISIS raid? I read on. It is not yet clear how much footage could ultimately be released, but if any of it is made publicly available, it would also mark another key difference in Trump's handling of the Baghdadi death with President Barack Obama's 2011 operation that led to the death of Osama bin Laden, the founder of the extremist group Al-Qaeda. In that case, Obama refused to release images of bin Laden's body, citing national security concerns. No video footage of the raid has ever been released by the U.S. government. What video footage might exist of bin Laden's death, if any, is unclear. CBS News reported in 2011 that 25 helmet cams had recorded the entire bin Laden raid, including the death of the Al-Qaeda leader. But a later report from the New Yorker disputed this, saying that officials had watched real-time footage of the target from an unarmed RQ-170 drone. More unambiguous, though, no less contentious, were the photos of bin Laden's body. On May 4th, 2 days after the raid that killed the extremist leader, Obama announced that although the United States was in possession of photos of bin Laden's body, it would not release them, as they could pose a national security risk. It's important for us to make sure that very graphic photos of someone who was shot in the head are not floating around as an indictment or incitement to additional violence or as a propaganda tool, Obama said in an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes. That's not who we are. We do not trot out this stuff as trophies.
And pardon me, that's a great point. And I think, Trump in his description is essentially doing that verbally. From the Hill here, Crudy, briefly, former CIA analyst Buck Sexton pushed back against Trump's idea of releasing the video. Here's what he said. I would think that's unhelpful to release the video over the long term. Sexton is now a conservative political commentator. But Sexton maintained that such a move would also depend on the contents of the video. Quote, we always want to be on guard to make sure that we don't inch toward the kind of barbarity that we see in our enemies.
Now, Buck Sexton fills in often for Rush Limbaugh on Righty Whitey Talk Radio. This is a Trump guy.
So, but the barbarity, obviously, we killed bin Laden, and now we've killed al-Baghdadi. The barbarity is there. I mean, we're murdering people, killing them, defending our country, no question, but we're still shooting and taking lives. That is what happens. That's the reality of it. And to show these things as a trophy, and I think that's a great description. I mean, if Trump could put this guy's head on a wall, I think he would if he thought it would help his election chances.
Dominic, if the Trump administration decides to release footage of the raid that led to Baghdadi's death, it may help quell similar speculation. There was some speculation about Osama bin Laden's death because we never released the photos. It may also allow Trump to bask further in the foreign policy move he's so very proud of. But for those who remember the bin Laden raid, there are worries that releasing the footage could lead to consequences Obama had hoped to avoid. Describing her concern after hearing Trump describe Baghdadi's death on Sunday, Dana Shell Smith, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for International Media Engagement at the time of bin Laden's death, warned that a celebratory tone could damage our deserved claim to the high moral ground. Well, Trump's got no claim to the high moral ground.
Well, and he's already gone down that. He's already gone down this road describing this killing as whimpering.
This coward.
Yeah,
he whimpered like a dog.
He's a dog. Again, trophy. He wants a trophy.
We got time for Dick?
We do. 844-967-2789. We always got time for Dick from Madison. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dick.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't tell Mulvaney about it. That's for sure.
Get over it. That's what we do.
But when he went to do his little victory lap, you heard the latest? He's mad there wasn't a NASCAR race last night because he would have got a better reception than that baseball game. See, seriously.
I'm not clear that he would have, quite frankly, but continue, please, Dick.
Well, I think he probably would have, but that was just special last night. I have to say, that baseball game, in more ways than one.
Kind of restores faith in humanity, doesn't it, Dick?
Yes, it does. That made my night. It made my week. Until, when is it, Thursday we're going to get a vote?
Thursday will be a vote on the full House of Representatives on impeachment and rules, etc. Yes, Thursday. So now that kind of takes away, that entire argument from the Republicans. I mean, what are they going to do now? What mound are they going to charge today, Dick? Because the writing's on the wall. They're going to take that vote in 3 days.
Lord only knows with this group, but they'll think it's something. They will.
I'm not convinced that they will. I mean, I think they pulled off all their best tricks last week, Dick. Anything else, my friend?
No, that pretty much sums it up.
All right, brother. Thank you for calling. We do appreciate it. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, you remember under the W. Bush administration, we were always taking out Al-Qaeda's number 2. Every week there was a new number 2. We'd take them down.
Who does number 2 work for?
Number 1. Is Mike Pence number 2?
Mike Pence, he's number 2 now.
Be very, very careful, Mike. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open for your take. 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
You got to be honest about what it means to lead a country. It means killing people.
All I want to do is be able to watch.
Just aim higher. Get over it.
Thinking of a new electric bike next year? Well, fall's the best time to buy. Over $400 off any electric bike at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes. Make a down payment on a fall sale price, but you don't have to pick up the e-bike until April. Free winter storage. The guarantee starts when you pick up your new e-bike next April. $1,700 e-bikes are $1,200. $1,200 e-bikes are $900. $1,100 e-bikes are $600 for a new e-bike. Fall is the time to get a new e-bike. Save $400. Pick it up in April at Crazy Lenny's.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on WRRD 1510 AM. Weekdays, hear the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 9 a.m. Next, it's Stephanie Miller from 9 to 11. From 11 till 2, the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Matt Flynn Direct. From 3 to 6, the Devil's Advocates. And at 6, it's Busted Pencils, Brandy Grayson, and Maggie Dawn. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
Dom, the Devil's Advocates are going on an adventure.
Join Crute and I for our inaugural 420-2020 cruise from our friends at Expedia Cruise Ship Centers of Madison. We begin in the City of Angels with the Devil's Advocates reception on April 17th, departing the next day for a 7-night cruise with stops in Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta, Mexico on board a shiny new Carnival Panorama cruise ship.
Expedia prices local service. Visit them on Madison's west side off Mineral Point Road or Google Expedia Cruise Ship Centers.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
All veils and misty streets.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones, toll free, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we've got a caller holding. It's Neil from Madison. Welcome, Neil. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm curious if you heard about an organization called Nobody is Above the Law, impeach.org. And on the night before the impeachment vote, nationwide, they're going to be having protest gatherings outside the Democratic lawmakers, offices and such, that are, in a group. And the closest one is Appleton. What they want to do is they want to let the congressmen know that we're watching them and that we will expect their vote.
Now, I had heard that.
About that in Madison.
I had not yet heard.
Story.
Neil in Madison, I had not heard, but that news, I got an email, I believe it was from MoveOn.org or some like organization before the weekend saying effectively the day before the impeachment vote, take to the streets, general strike, let them know that you support the impeachment of this MFer. And that would be Wednesday night, right, Neil?
Yeah, and the closest, Appleton, believe it or not, as Republican as that area is having one, and so is Milwaukee. But Madison is not on the map. They have a map in Nobody Above the Law website showing where they're having, if you want to go to Naperville, Illinois, but nothing for Madison, and I'm surprised about that.
And Neil, if you would, slowly, what is the name of the website?
Okay, I got this off of Raw Story last week. And it was October 26th was when it was put on the board, and it's called NobodyIsAboveTheLaw.org.
NobodyIsAboveTheLaw.org. Gotcha.
Impeach.org. Excuse me.
Impeach.org.
Yeah, and they have a map on there where the gatherings are going to be. But Madison, surprisingly, is not there.
Well, Neil,
will you march if we call for a party? And I might need someone to pull the wagon with me in it, Neil. So, buddy, are you going to pull me down State Street onto the Capitol?
Give me the harness.
Give me the harness. All right, Neil. We will check it out. Impeach.org. I hope everybody gets out in the streets. Thanks for the heads up, Neil. We do appreciate it. 844-967-2789.
I'm at impeach.org, and this is powered by moveon.org. And I just put my zip code in for where we're located here in the Madison area. nobody is above the law events, but nobody apparently is putting on an event to say that nobody is above the law event here in Madison. Neil's absolutely right. No events listed for Wednesday night. The official impeachment vote going off on Thursday. Well, that's kind of breaking news, Dom. Let's give him another hour and maybe we'll be announcing an event. And Neil, I'll need you to pull the wagon.
844-967-2789. Gary from Sussex, you are up. Thanks for calling today, Gary. What do you got for us?
Hey, Gary.
Thanks, Dom and Mike. Hey, I couldn't wait to call you guys today because I was going to congratulate you on the first time you're going to say something nice about Donald Trump, about getting the worst terrorists in the world and nailing them. But you know what? You guys are raining on my parade here.
Yeah?
You're lucky we're not booing you, Gary.
It wasn't that bad. Hey, listen, when you're in Washington, I think because half the people in the United States love him and half the people hate him.
But why did he politicize this, Gary? I mean, we could have found common ground. If all Donald Trump had done is gone out there and somberly announced that he had offed this guy, and more accurately, Delta Force, U.S. Special Forces, had killed this very dangerous man. And if he'd have been somber and said, this is part of the greater mission, this is part of the Trump doctrine, and I stand by our decision, well, I could have admired that. But, of course, he made it partisan right away. Adam Schiff's the biggest leaker in Washington. He had to make it not just about hating on the Democrats, but he had to make it about himself, man. Nobody should have been describing a dying man in cowardly dog terms. What's he trying to create? New terrorists, Gary?
I'm telling you, as far as I'm concerned, this guy is a piece of garbage. And I wouldn't even give him.
Yeah, Trump is.
I told my wife, I said, "What? No, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about."
Okay.
The
terrorist.
Because if I wasn't smart enough to get past it, you guys would use that on one of your promo ads, like you did the last time with me.
You got to watch us close, Gary.
Yeah, I know you do. But no, I'm saying this guy is a piece of dirt, and I have a dog, and I love my dog. And when he says he's a dog and he died like a dog, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, wait a minute here. Maisie, I love Maisie, and don't talk about dogs like that.
Gary, do you want to see the shooting, the death, or the implosion?
You want to see the video?
You want to see
Gary?
the video? Do you think that's something that we should be out sharing with the world?
Maybe on
my
Facebook.
Personal opinion, I'm not interested in seeing that. I'm just glad he's dead. I hope that the world is a little bit more protected. And yes, I know that politicizing this stuff is going to get these guys more irritated. But you know what? When they take out the snake, the head of the snake, it slows things down a little bit.
Well, that's exactly why we want to impeach Donald Trump. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. 844-967-2789.
If you missed something on the Devil's Advocates, don't worry. After you get over your shame, you can check out domandcroot.com. Podcasts and interviews updated daily. Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Go back to where they came from, help those people come back and show us how to do it. That was the full quote.
They didn't come from anywhere. They were here, dude. Are you employed, Chris?
I am.
Do you have an HR department?
Yes, I do. I'm a union machinist.
Oh, do you work with minorities?
I do.
If you walked up to one of your coworkers who was a minority, you told them to go back to where they came from, would HR have a conversation with you about that, do you think?
It depends on the person, really. I mean, some people are...
If somebody complained to HR about what you said, do you think they would have a conversation with you about that?
Absolutely.
Okay. But why? Why would they pull you off of your job to discuss this with you, and what do you think their beef would be?
Because they're trying to protect the corporation from lawsuits.
Lawsuit for what?
Discrimination, racism.
So if your coworkers, if you say it to your coworker, it could be described as discrimination or racism. But when the president says it to the world, it's not racist?
No.
Yikes. You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
HU998 wants to remind you that last month it was revealed to county supervisors that millions of budgeted transit dollars were deposited into county benefits. A national economist found numerous interesting trails. In one trail, the wheel tax increase went to the transit budget. The transit budget ran millions under, and at the end of the year, nearly that same amount was added to county benefits. At the same time, County Executive Abley also cut a number of routes in his budget. While you stand in a cold corner longer or walk further in the cold because of route cuts, the county management seems to be more about their political comfort. Pressure from citizens has forced Abley to pull back on some of those route cuts. More of your routes will be on the chopping block next week. You can stop this today by calling your county supervisor at 414-278-4222. That's 414-278-4222. Tell your county supervisor to stop route cuts.
This message paid for by ATU Local 998.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and my family owns Madison Liquidators. We've officially moved into our new space off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and we're excited to announce that Madison Liquidators is now Dane County's premier dealer for Groupe Lacoste. In addition to their unbeatable 25-year warranty, Groupe Lacoste has 10 lines to choose from, ranging from traditional to ultra-modern, all available in 18 different finishes. Give me a call and let's make a plan for your space, or go online to madisonliquidators.com and shop our complete inventory of used office furniture.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The Journal Sentinel has been investigating the problem of ambulance diversion and currently has several stories on the topic posted on their website. One story says 2 Milwaukee women died because they were turned away from hospitals. Another story says at least 21 people have died nationwide from ambulance diversion, and the problem is not being tracked. The newspaper also reports that ambulance diversion mostly affects older and sicker people, as well as people of lesser economic means. And the Packers beat the Chiefs yesterday, 31-24. The Packers now 7-1 and will play the Chargers out in San Diego next Sunday. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison tonight: rain, likely, lows in the low 30s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Wreaking havoc on America, just like they wreaked havoc on Wisconsin. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy Monday to us all. Dominic, I have a chastising email in my inbox.
Did we get booed?
I think we got booed.
It's hard for me to believe that. What is it?
TJB, well, you also received this, Dom, but apparently you don't check your inbox. Mueller report. Why are you ignoring it? ? Why is virtually the entire media, including your station, totally ignoring the Mueller report? Yeah, we've never talked about that.
What?
Don't you realize the unredacted Mueller report could be a potential gold mine?
Yes.
It's gold, Jerry. Of new info, ? Today, the Trump turds are appealing Friday's court decision. No surprise there. And almost nobody's reporting that. Why? ?
Well, TJB, you should have been listening on Friday and Thursday of last week when we talked about that.
The Trump administration
will
appeal.
Yes.
Because the court said there's no reason to hide the grand jury testimony. You know, the redacted portions of the Mueller report, that's, about 8% of the content? But one must think the best 8%.
Yeah.
The 8% Trump does not want out there publicly.
Of course.
Now, no doubt TJB, if it gets released, that'd be great. But what I would say is the Mueller report did not inspire an impeachment. The Ukrainian incident, the abuse of power, the quid pro quo, it's also very straightforward. Why would we muddy the waters?
I don't know what to say, Crudy. Yes, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, and of course, we had the AG Barr running cover for Trump coming out there. Remember, no collusion, no conspiracy, no obstruction. I mean, this whole thing we heard for 2 weeks before we even got the redacted version. So, yes, we talked about it a lot. Now, and I agree with that, with Crudy, the committees or Congress will get access to this, perhaps. Apparently, Trump is going to appeal that now to the, U.S. Supreme Court? And hopefully he'll get slapped down and that information will be turned over to Congress because they are doing an impeachment of this president, and the information contained in the redacted portions of the Mueller report, probably, there are some specific quotes about Ukraine, probably will not bode well for the president. So I am down with that.
I'm not clear that involving the copious Mueller report in this very straightforward action is beneficial to the Democrats' action. I think Nancy Pelosi's got this one. You just be patient, TJB, QXYZ.
Well, you got to keep it simple. I mean, I get that, and TJB, man, I'm with you, man. They should have impeached on the Mueller report alone, but it was too long for the American people to read, I guess. We need cliff notes, man. We need like very simple topics for people to comprehend and digest and take issue with.
That's why I have you along, Dom, to simplify it for the American people. And TJB, Vanna White would tell you, buy a Bell, man, buy a Bell.
TJ, thanks for listening. And you can always give us a call at 844-967-2789. We take all callers. Matt from Johnson's Creek, you are up, Matt. Thank you for calling today. What do you got?
Hey, guys. I just want to kind of call attention to when Gary called in talking about the way Trump sounds and everything like that. It would be actually refreshing if the president would just sound like many of his supporters, because I've had that same conversation over and over with pro-Trump people that I know, and every time they say, well, are you glad he's dead? Yeah, I'm glad he's dead. But they leave it at that. The problem that everyone had was, like you guys said, all the making it political afterwards and the rambling and the everything else he did. It's just funny that guys who will defend Trump, the way they describe what he did, They only take it so far until they realize that, yeah, that's about as much as you need to say. He's gone. I didn't care for him. The end. Even his supporters are more controlled and, I guess, reserved.
Yeah, that's a great point, Matt. You're right.
Well, Matt, because some of his supporters have served in a war zone, and he makes our soldiers in the field no more safe. I mean, we talked about the beheading of James Foley. He was not a soldier. He was a journalist. But bragging about the cowardly dog being mutilated creates more terrorists. Everyone we kill, it's like whack-a-mole, man. We create 10 more. There'll be a number 2 at Al-Qaeda that'll step into his job, or ISIS that'll step into his job tomorrow. He's already got the new keys to the executive terrorist wash room.
But it just makes him sound, like, so in football, when somebody scores a touchdown and they dance and dance and dance, act like you've been there. Right, and that is 100% what Trump won't do. He won't act like a professional, and he won't act like he's been there.
It almost makes him sound, and I know this is going to come off really bad, and Republicans and people might get pissed off when I say this, but when you speak like that, you're almost speaking in the terrorist terms, right? You're trying to incite some sort of fear, some sort of reaction from your adversary. I'm not sure what other explanation there could possibly be other than Trump, we'll call it tough guy. He wants to sound
He'll
like
get
a
more
tough
medieval
guy.
on your ass than ISIS will.
Right. Anything else you got for us today, Matt? Oh, Matt's gone. Thank you for the call, Matt. 844-967-2789.
I'm going to get medieval on your ass.
Chris from Milwaukee, you're next. Thank you. What do you got for us?
What's up, guys?
Hey,
what
man.
a great weekend. Child rapist blown up. Bears lost. Packers won. I just wish you guys would stop twisting yourselves into pretzels trying to not like what happened.
In what regard?
I'm not excited that, it's not, we're not happy that one more terrorist is dead. We're not happy at how the president chose to react to that in the face he puts forward for all of us, Chris. Did you like him rubbing it in the faces of other terrorists? Hey, he died like a cowardly dog. I mean, was that necessary, man?
Trump. That's Trump.
Is that
No
necessary?
doubt that's
though?
Trump.
Yeah, we get that. But
Is that
that's
reflective
kind
of the
problem.
American? Do you want that to be reflective of the American people?
trust me, these people do not need any more reason to attack us than they already have.
Okay,
So
but that doesn't answer the question, Chris. Is that a good face for the American people when the President of the United States talks like that?
Yes. I have
And
no
Chris,
problem
will it be
with
good
him
when he
talking like that.
releases the video?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm just glad he didn't give him the burial at sea like he did to Obama with bin Laden under Islamic rules. Like, you just piss in that guy's mouth and throw him in the ocean.
Chris, now, my understanding, a lot of the folks that are in the intelligence and the services and so forth think that kind of behavior, the trophy issue, the bragging issue, doesn't bode well for certainly our soldiers and service people and foreign services overseas. Do you have concern that kind of behavior and that ranting and perhaps releasing the video will, in fact, continue to inspire the terrorist enemies we have around the world?
They don't need any more inspiration. Their religion is their inspiration.
So, no, you don't believe that's the case?
No, I mean, and if they do,
Trump,
that's good, because then they will expose themselves, and we can get them again.
And then we can show that we're more violent than the terrorists, Chris. I mean, is this a battle we want to win?
Okay, how about this one, Chris? How about we take the remains, maybe we can find his head, we stick it on a spike, we put it in the White House lawn. Would that be good?
Yes, absolutely.
Come
Have you ever
on, man.
seen
Like
Apocalypse
Ned
Now?
Stark. Come on.
Have you ever
That's
seen Apocalypse Now?
barbaric, Chris. We don't do that
Have you
kind of
ever
thing,
seen
man.
that movie?
That's why when you're in the Army, if you pose with a dead soldier, you're supposed to get in trouble for that.
That's a war crime, Chris.
Chris, come on. You are endorsing war crimes.
What's
You get
that?
a medal from me for that.
You get a medal for you for that? Well, we have different philosophies.
How about
but
the 3 kids that were killed in that, Chris?
We celebrating the
you know
dead
what?
kids?
No, but that's the choice that he made. That's
So the
choice
kids
that
are
that guy
collateral
made when he
damage?
decided to try to take us on.
Should we be excited?
You know-
We only had to take 3 kids out to get 1 terrorist. Is that a fair trade?
You know, they used to bomb churches in Hamburg and stuff like that, and they didn't give 2 craps. And look what happened. We won that war.
Yeah, we got white supremacists bombing churches in the great old United States of America. You know, we don't have to look overseas for violence, Chris. It's happening amongst us, man. And I don't think we make people less violent by showing video. Why don't we show the video of the mass shooters? Why don't we show, the video of people going through a school and killing the kids at Columbine or Sandy Hook? Why would that not be appropriate, Chris? It's the same sort of barbarism that you would cheer. I mean, I can't wait to see those 3 kids blown to smithereens. That will be so cool.
Heads on a spike. We appreciate the call, Chris. 844-967-2789. Pete from Milwaukee, you're next. What do you think?
Well, you're jeopardizing our troops because they're the ones out there who are fighting, and when you make things tougher on them, they're the ones who have to bear the brunt of everything.
Well, Cadet
And
Bone
it's-
Spurs doesn't care, man, because he never served his nation patriotically.
I know, but you know what? Obama didn't either, but he didn't do that. Obama didn't down and try to make the terrorists angry and be disrespectful and everything else. I mean, he's got some brains. This guy has got zero, empathy for anything.
Well,
and
it's not just that, Pete. And listen, man, the guy deserved to die. There's no question about it. And it's certainly tragic
Right.
that he had kids that went with him. Man, that's a terrible circumstance. No question about it. But the moral high ground does not allow for us to take the spoils and take their head and stick it on a spike and put it in the White House lawn. That is not appropriate. That is not how we should be running this country, at least in my opinion, Pete. Now, maybe in Chris's America and Trump's America, we take all our enemies, we stick them on spikes like Vlad Dracula, and that's how we roll. But I just think that is a terrible, terrible precedent.
well, it's just an escalation of things,
And for what? What's the upside? What do we gain by doing something like that? What does Trump gain by using those words? What do we gain by releasing the video for the terrorist groups to watch over
We
and over
see
again?
him as the powerful leader he is.
What do we gain?
Well, it's consistent with the fact that he likes to look powerful even when he's not, and he wants to scare people, and he wants to be a big shot, and this whole thing with narcissism, okay? That's the whole thing. He just wants to be, Mr. Tough Guy, and he's really not, Otherwise, he'd have went in the Army, and he would have went over there, and he would have done something.
I just got a text from the president's campaign, Pete. I'll share it with you. President Trump, liberal elite donors want me impeached, all caps. I don't need them. I need you. You must crush our goal. All gifts 3 times matched. Donate now. Everything's a good reason to
raise some money, baby.
Raise some money. That's all he wanted. He wants this video to go raise money on it. He wants this video as a trophy, as a war trophy that he can go run his re-elective campaign on. That's all this is to him. And those kids, did he mention the kids? I don't recall that he mentioned the kids. Just the cowardly man.
Whimpering. Cowardly, whimpering dog.
Because that's what terrorists do. You don't think Trump will whimper a little the night his ass's goose stepped out of the White House in cuffs, do you? Might take till the day after the inauguration. I bet he won't whimper at all. I bet he'll take it like a man. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, more of your phone calls as well. 844-967-2789.
I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
Strong, powerful.
Nobody's stronger than me.
I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. You're going to be dead.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
HU998 wants to remind you that last month it was revealed to county supervisors that millions of budgeted transit dollars were deposited into county benefits. A national economist found numerous interesting trails. In one trail, the wheel tax increase went to the transit budget. The transit budget ran millions under, and at the end of the year, nearly that same amount was added to county benefits. At the same time, County Executive Abley also cut a number of routes in his budget. While you stand in a cold corner longer or walk further in the cold because of route cuts, the county management seems to be more about their political comfort. Pressure from citizens has forced Abley to pull back on some of those route cuts. More of your routes will be on the chopping block next week. You can stop this today by calling your county's...
It's my job to make sure your network is up 99.999% of the time. Technology is constantly evolving, and keeping your business up to date in an ever-changing environment can be a hassle. At Five Nines, we're here to help. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. Better IT gives your business a competitive advantage. Learn how Five Nines can help at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, real quick, people tweeting at us at Devil Radio. Lisa Joe tweets at Devil Radio. Trump said he was brought to justice. No, he wasn't. He was summarily executed. Justice would require bringing him into a court of law and charging him for his heinous crimes. I'll give that one a like, Lisa Joe. We also got a tweet from Dave. You know Dave. Dave's asked that we change his moniker.
Oh, no more Crazy Dave?
He doesn't like that.
Oh, sorry, Dave.
I think he would prefer T-Bone, but, in deference, we've known Dave a long time. And, I can understand no one wants that moniker, so I've got a new one for Dave.
Oh, what is it?
Very stable Genius Dave.
Very stable genius, Dave.
Very stable genius Dave tweets out, there are no events in Madison because the action, talking about the impeachment.org action, is directed at representatives, Congress people, who are opposed to impeachment in front of their offices. All those reps are outside Dane County. Yeah, I think Mark Pocan, he's down.
Yeah, he's down. Now, there still should be, and there's some in Milwaukee as well, but I'm not clear that...
Well, Sensenbrenner, perhaps.
Okay.
I mean, you're not going to march on Gwen Moore, right? So you got Sensenbrenner, you got Rothman, and you got Mike Gallagher, and you got Steyer down in the first.
People should get out
Duffy's
anyway.
out. Duffy's not holding the job. I wonder if they'll march on Ron Kind's office. I'm not clear that he's down for impeachment.
How about Ron Johnson? Oh, we got to get to Ron. We'll talk to you about
get
that,
to
Ron.
in the happy hour. Let's get to Betsy right now at 844-967-2789. Betsy, welcome back.
Hey, you guys. I'm
Hey,
sorry to
Betsy.
hear about your injury, Crudy. You got to be careful. We need you. Oh, my gosh.
I shouldn't
Listen,
laugh.
Chris,
It's a major inconvenience, but all in all, it's just throbbing like a big dog right now, Betsy. But I'll tough it out.
oh, you got to really take care of yourself. You do. You hope you have it elevated
I'm gonna
right
need
now.
others to take care of me, actually, Betsy. If you could come by and maybe bring me some banana bread, I'd feel well taken care of.
Oh, my goodness. You don't know. My mother has the best banana bread.
Oh,
I
don't
did ask
tease.
for banana bread on air one day, Betsy, and some righteous caller brought me banana bread.
It was so good.
One of the best days of my life. Or some
You
sort of
guys-
strong painkiller, either one.
It's all good. Comfort food, yes.
So what do you think about Chris's
I'm really-
comments, Betsy?
I'm really disturbed by him. I'm just utterly disturbed. I mean, it's so sad that we've come to this in our country. We're better than this. And
Well, it's the
I think you're right.
dehumanization of our enemies, Betsy. It's like the Trump
yeah.
boys. It's like Eric and Don Jr. out there on a giraffe hunt or a rhino hunt. This is just another trophy for them to pose with. That's why Donald Trump wants the pictures out there. Otherwise, he's got no trophy.
Oh, God. He is so dangerous for this country. I mean, he is absolutely a traitor in my mind. An absolute, complete, utter traitor. He is not American as far as I'm concerned. He sold our country out.
Now, Betsy,
He thinks Russia first.
I know,
He
it's
thinks
stunning.
Russia first. He doesn't include Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, as to what's going on. I mean, doesn't he think that we all are in this together? I mean, how dare he? He is absolutely
all in this
despicable,
together?
disgusting
Absolutely
human
not,
being.
Betsy. No, there is no us. There's only I. I mean, this is Trump's world and Trump's Trump, and that is all he can see. That is how he reacts. There's no us. But let's talk about the good news for a moment, Betsy. The good news is Thursday, Nancy Pelosi, the House, they're going to finally vote. They're going to vote on impeachment. They're going to vote on the rules. They're going to take a vote in Congress. The full House is going to vote. Takes away the Republicans' talking point on that issue. What do you think?
I think it can't come soon enough. This guy needs to go. Lock him up. He's a criminal. He's
Well,
an
Betsy-
absolutely disgusting human being. I am so ashamed of our country.
Well, Betsy, the vast majority of our country, at least the majority, the plurality of our country, want to see Donald Trump impeached and removed from office. Take heart in that. If you watched the ball game, the World Series last night, a large number of Nationals fans were letting Donald Trump know exactly what they thought. Lock his ass up. I mean, the man cannot go out in public. Other than the Klan rallies, down south, Dallas maybe, Donald Trump can't go out in public, not amongst his opponents. And in Chicago today, my understanding, there are anti-Donald Trump protests going on right now.
Really? Good. Thank you for the call, Betsy. 844-967-2789.
You ever been a hunter, Dom?
I No, not really. I had a BB gun, pellet gun when I was a kid, and I really felt bad like shooting birds and squirrels and stuff. So I'm not a hunter, and I'm certainly not going to eat what I kill. That's not my thing. I'm not going to skin it and gut it and whatever else has to be done. No, man. No, I'm not a hunter.
Do you think Trump will request that this guy gets skinned and cooked up, eat the trophy? Eat what you killed, right, Trump?
Keep what you kill? I'm not clear. I did watch some classic Texas Chainsaw Massacre this weekend, and Leatherface has the human skin mask on. But no, this is not fiction.
Looks a lot like Trump, doesn't he?
He's a big fella. This is not fiction. And Betsy makes a point. We're better than this. Well, yeah, sometimes we're not, Betsy, and that's unfortunate. No, we strive to be, right? I mean, I think we all, most of us strive to be better than that. But some people they're down with the violence. They're down with the messaging, the imagery that portrays of putting your enemy's head on a spike. It somehow makes them feel more empowered and stronger. And I just think that makes us worse.
Was she a great big fat person?
Well, they don't permit public lynchings anymore, so Donald Trump's got to get his jollies in some way, shape, or form.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
But if Chris is, if he's emblematic of the Trump supporter, well, then damn well Trump will release a video to bolster up his image, to give his sycophants and his supporters the trophy to help him in his election. Regardless of the impact that would have on us across the world, regardless of any sort of true benefit that would garner us, which is none, this is all about Trump, how he views himself, how he views his supporters, and how he views how this country should be. And of course, that is the very dangerous and scary part of this entire episode. It's not just Trump. He's representing, I guess that's what I take umbrage with the most. He's representing me and you and Fancy Brian and our entire audience when he stands up there and gloats the way that he did in this case.
There is a headline at CNN. I don't know if we'll go here. I'd like to turn back to the state of Wisconsin in the happy hour. Trump is preparing to squander his al-Baghdadi victory. Of course he will.
Of course he is.
Any goodwill? Well, mostly he burned that on Sunday morning, addressing the nation and the world on our behalf, yours and mine, and bragging a little about how the man cowered like a dog, when he blew himself and his 3 small children up. Something to be very proud of. Come back with us. Devil's Advocates turning it towards Wisconsin. 844-967-2789. Phone lines open for your calls as well.
Do you want to be a winner? All the winners I know like the Devil's Advocates Facebook page.
I'm an extremely stable genius.
Hey, T-Bone!
Thinking of a new electric bike next year? Well, fall's the best time to buy. Over $400 off any electric bike at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes. Make a down payment on a fall sale price, but you don't have to pick up the e-bike until April. Free winter storage. The guarantee starts when you pick up your new e-bike next April. $1,700 e-bikes are $1,200. $1,200 e-bikes are $900. $1,100 e-bikes are $600 for a new e-bike. Fall is the time to get a new e-bike. Save $400. Pick it up in April at Crazy Lenny's.
This is Dom from the Devil's Advocates. In the 7 years that Crudy and I have been doing the show, we have never had a more engaged, dialed in, and motivated audience, and we love them for it. Now is the time for you to reach the greatest audience ever. Call now, advertise with the Devil's Advocates and Real Resistance Radio. Market your products or services, get your message out, join the resistance. Call us at 414-635-0872. That's 414-635-0872, or go to realresistanceradio.com. You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Impeachment probe, ISIS death. I'm Ann Cates.
The House will vote this week on formalizing the impeachment investigation. Correspondent Manu Raju.
Suggests the next phase of this impeachment inquiry is about to happen. Right now, we're seeing closed-door hearings in the House Intelligence Committee. But the next step, assuming the Democrats do move to impeach this president, would move to the House Judiciary Committee. The House Judiciary Committee would consider articles of impeachment before sending it on to the full House to vote to impeach the president. It would just be the third time in American history that a president has been impeached.
More is being learned about the U.S. Special Forces mission that led to the death of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Correspondent Barbara Starr.
The Syrian Democratic Forces, the Kurdish allies that the U.S. had in Syria, say they had an informant inside ISIS who led them to where Baghdadi had been. They were able to obtain a piece of his underwear, use a blood sample, all of this to establish a DNA identity before they went on the raid.
Crews are battling several major wildfires around California. Correspondent Jim Roop reports a blaze in Sonoma County's wine country is only 5% contained.
185,000 people remained evacuated from the so-called Kincaid Fire in Northern California, fanned by fierce Diablo winds. The fires destroyed roughly 100 structures as it gets nearer to 70,000 acres. Meanwhile, a new blaze broke out in Southern California while the current tick fire burns. The so-called Getty Fire, ignited early Monday, quickly grew, pushed by winds. Crews are doing a great job of keeping that fire just around 500 acres.
A man suspected of opening fire at an off-campus college party in Texas, killing 2 people and injuring 12 others, has been arrested. The 23-year-old is accused of murdering following the incident in Greenville. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 133 points, the S&P up 17, the Nasdaq up 83. I'm Ann Cates.
Madison Liquidators has officially moved into a bigger, nicer showroom off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and they are proud to announce they have expanded to provide educational and healthcare institutional furnishings. They have great new offerings of quality new office furnishings from industry leaders like Groupe Lacoste and Via Seating, and you can see the expanded and extensive inventory of used furniture online at MadisonLiquidators.com, or you can call Kelly and have her help you make a plan for your new space. Start today at MadisonLiquidators.com and tell them you heard them on Talk 92.7 FM.
Five9's, your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy Five9s.com.
Hey guys, I'm Maggie Dawn, your lady lawyer, legal eagle, and sensei of economics. Tune into my show, Dawn of the Resistance, live Thursdays and Fridays from 6 to 7 on WRRD 1510 AM. Always streaming live at newstalk1510am.com.
The National Park Service is dropping new rules for demonstrations in Washington, D.C.
The Park Service wanted protesters to repay the federal government for the cost of security, trash removal, and grounds repair, and would have restricted sidewalk space outside the White House. Critics argued the now sidelined new regulations were designed to stifle protests near the White House and on the National Mall, and the Park Service says it received more than 140,000 comments on its proposed changes. Each year, the agency issues about 750 permits for so-called First Amendment activities. There was criticism that charging the organizers of those events would have made it harder for people to exercise their constitutional rights, specifically the right to assemble. Joe Ramsey, Washington.
John Legend and Kelly Clarkson have teamed up to modernize Baby It's Cold Outside. The two recorded a remake of the 1944 Christmas classic with new lyrics in the wake of the Me Too movement. The song will be released in November on a deluxe version of his album, A Legendary Christmas. I'm Ann Cates.
Thinking about life.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, your best man, your worst man. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners. 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, your best man, your worst man. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hello, Madison. Join me, Ken Harwood, every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until noon for my new show, Development Matters. From job creation to sustainability and everything in between, join me and my guests in discussing the realities surrounding jobs, business, and the environment each week. These are tough decisions, and we're going to seek real solutions for development in Wisconsin. Tune in every Saturday for Development Matters with Ken Harwood from 10 a.m. until noon, right here on Talk 92.7, Wisconsin Political Talk.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. New reporting from the Washington Post says Senator Ron Johnson may have played a much bigger role than previously known in the Ukrainian scandal at the heart of the impeachment inquiry. The report says Johnson discussed a conspiracy theory with a Ukrainian diplomat 2 weeks before Donald Trump asked the Ukrainian president for a favor by investigating Joe Biden and his son. According to the diplomat, Andrei Teleshenko, contact between the two was initiated by aides of Senator Johnson. The two appear in a Facebook photo Teleshenko posted on July 11th. The Journal Sentinel is reporting that Johnson and his aides have repeatedly declined to answer questions on this subject for more than 2 weeks. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the Monday happy hour. And this happy hour may not leave U.S. Senator Ron Johnson feeling so very happy. He is embroiled in the middle of the impeachment question about Donald Trump. Now, new news today. The House will vote. The full House will take away that Republican talking point, and they will vote on the impeachment procedures. Effectively, they will put to rest, I would hope, but of course they won't, Dom. Republicans will still claim they didn't do it the right way, even though there are no clear directions. Nancy Pelosi can do the impeachment any damn way she wants, Dom. And the full vote Thursday, but the breaking headlines, and this one broke today. Report, Ron Johnson discussed conspiracy theory with Ukrainian diplomat 2 weeks before Trump sought investigation. Now, Ron's always had a shapely tinfoil hat he likes to wear, Tom.
Yeah.
You guys even talked about the fact you both got tinfoil hats one day. He's also got a big jug of Kool-Aid in the fridge at home, but let me read. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson discussed a conspiracy theory about Ukrainian involvement in the 2016 election with a Ukrainian diplomat this summer, further drawing the Republican from Oshkosh into issues at the heart of the impeachment inquiry of President Donald Trump. The Washington Post reported Monday that Johnson met with Ukrainian diplomat Andriy Teleshenko for at least 30 minutes in July. Teleshenko told the newspaper he talked to Johnson about an unsubstantiated claim that Ukraine interfered in the 2016 election, and that in addition to his conversation with Johnson, he met with Senate staff for about 5 hours. Already, Johnson has held a key role in diplomacy with Ukraine. House diplomats are investigating whether Trump put inappropriate pressure, I think he did, on the Ukrainian officials by holding up nearly $400 million in aid while asking them to launch investigations into the 2016 election. And former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter, who served on the board of the Ukrainian gas company, I think it was called Burisma, right? According to Teleshenko, Johnson's aides plural, initiated the contact between the two. I was in Washington, and Senator Johnson found out I was in D.C., and the staff called me and wanted to do a meeting with me. So I reached out back and said, sure, I'll come down to the Hill and talk to you, Teleshenko told the newspaper. Now, this guy's like 29 years old. That's not carried over in the Marley reporting of the Washington Post, but I read on. The two appear in a Facebook photo Teleshenko posted on July 11th. That's 2 weeks before Trump told Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky he wanted him to do a favor and investigate Biden, one of the leading Democrats challenging him in next year's election. Johnson and his aides have repeatedly declined to answer questions from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel for more than 2 weeks.
Ooh, buttoning up. Come on, Ron. Why don't you talk to the local newspaper?
He has declined to say whether he believes he could participate in the proceedings in the Senate if, more likely when, the House votes to impeach Trump. 2 ethics experts told the Journal-Sentinel this month that Johnson should consider recusing himself. Not going to happen. From a vote on removing Trump because of Johnson's involvement in the matter. Johnson's name has come up in key closed-door testimony over impeachment, Dom.
Crudy, Johnson attended a May 23rd Oval Office meeting where an irregular channel began for U.S. foreign policy with Ukraine. Diplomat William Taylor testified last week. At that meeting, remember, Johnson's here, Trump directed those in the meeting to talk to his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, about his concerns with Ukraine, according to testimony this month from Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the EU. It was apparent to all of us that the key to changing the president's mind on Ukraine was Mr. Giuliani, Sondland said in his testimony. Johnson told the Washington Post he did not recall Trump mentioning Giuliani at the meeting. Now, a lot of people sometimes forget things. I think Sondland forgot some things as well. I continue on from Marley's piece in the Journal-Sentinel. In an appearance last week on Fox News, Johnson told host Mark Levin he and the others at the meeting urged Trump to invite Zelensky to the White House and appoint an ambassador to Ukraine that could get bipartisan support. I was certainly surprised by the president's reaction, which had been consistent throughout this, Johnson said. First of all, he talked about the level of corruption in Ukraine. And Mark, there's all kinds of smoke about Hillary's campaign, the DNC being involved in the 2016 election, unquote. Johnson was referring to an unsubstantiated conspiracy theory he and Trump have latched onto that Ukraine has Clinton's email server or was involved in planting the idea that Trump's campaign worked with Russia in the 2016 election. Johnson, the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, has long been involved in Ukraine policy. Crudy, we got some date lines here. May 20th, Johnson attended Zelensky's inauguration as part of a delegation that also included Sondland, Kurt Volker, the U.S. envoy for Ukraine, and Rick Perry, the energy secretary. During that trip, Volker told the others about news reports of Giuliani's calls for investigations into Ukraine, including Biden, according to the Wall Street Journal. The group was surprised about Giuliani's activities, according to the report, which was based on an unnamed source familiar with the trip. Johnson has not responded to questions from the Journal-Sentinel since the Wall Street Journal published its report. And then 3 days later, May 23rd, Johnson and the others from the delegation encouraged Trump to back Zelensky. Trump raised concerns about corruption and, according to Sondland and others, directed them to work with Giuliani. In his testimony last week, Taylor said he was handling Ukraine policy through the regular channel, but he learned there was a second irregular channel as well. This irregular channel began when Ambassador Volker, Ambassador Sondland, Secretary Perry, and Senator Ron Johnson briefed President Trump on May 23rd upon their return from President Zelensky's inauguration. He testified. The delegation supported Zelensky, but Trump did not share their enthusiasm for a meeting with Mr. Zelensky, Taylor testified, Crute.
Dominic, around July 11th, Johnson met with Teleshinko and discussed the DNC conspiracy theory, according to the Washington Post. Just after the Post published its story, Teleshinko renewed his questions about the 2016 election, calling Johnson high-ranking and said his committee has a duty to investigate any claims. July 18th, Taylor, that's Bill Taylor, said he learned Trump had put a hold on nearly $400 million in aid to Ukraine that had been approved by Congress in like September of 2018, Dom. And on July 25th, Trump asked Zelensky in a phone call to do him a favor and investigate the 2016 election and the Bidens. Trump called Zelensky, triggered a whistleblower complaint, and later at the impeachment inquiry, Johnson has said he considered Trump's call to Zelensky gracious and a sign that Trump wanted to get to the truth.
What truth?
You going to pick it up, man?
Oh, sure, man. On August 30th, Sondland told Johnson the aid would go to Ukraine after the country appointed a prosecutor to investigate the 2016 election, according to Johnson. Johnson told the Wall Street Journal he winced, I tell you, at the notion the aid would be linked to an investigation. Here's a quote. I can't tell you exactly how Gordon described this, but there was something in the works. They were trying to do something. President Zelensky would have to do something in order to really free up that support, Johnson said on Levin's show. The next day, August 31st, Johnson spoke to Trump and asked him whether the aid was tied to an investigation. Trump denied it, and Johnson took him at his word. I then brought up this rumor I'd heard. Is there something in the works? Does Zelensky have to do something, or does Ukraine show you something in order for this support to be released? Johnson told Levin. And that is where he made the vehement, angry denial. An adamant, vehement, and angry denial, Crudy. I described it as an expletive deleted. No way, I would never. Who told you that? At which point I felt a little guilty. Well, it was Gordon. Oh, he said it. Gordon told him that. I get that answer. Continuing. In that conversation, Johnson also asked Trump to give him the authority to tell Zelensky that the U.S. aid was coming. Trump wouldn't give him that power, but told him he thought Johnson would like the decision he would eventually make on the Ukraine aid, according to Johnson. Then, September 5th, Johnson and Democratic Senators Chris Murphy of Connecticut met with Zelensky in Ukraine and told him his country has bipartisan support in Congress. Johnson has said Zelensky gave no indication he felt pressured. Murphy has said Ukrainian officials were concerned about ignoring Giuliani's request for investigations, Crudy.
Now that brings us to September 11th. And we had Ron Johnson in studio after his meeting with Zelensky, and he had something to say about the release of the foreign aid to the Ukraine on September 11th. And we had him on the show, and I think we should play the sound. Are we ready for that?
We got that, Brian? Yes, let's roll with it.
Here's Ron Johnson on the greatest radio show ever. Devil's Advocates, you're listening right now. Should Trump use the power of the presidency to influence foreign power, sir? For investigation of his own political rivals.
First of all, we're always...
It sounds bad when either one does.
We are always trying to influence foreign powers to try and be on board with us.
Get over
In terms of using influence to get to the truth, I have no problem with that, and that's how I interpret this. And that's what I want to do. I want to get to the truth. I want to know what happened or what didn't happen.
So then it is okay in your mind, Senator, that the president withhold $400 million in armament aid to a foreign country if they don't do your bidding to investigate a political rival.
That is not.
Okay, that would be bad. Yes,
that's your interpretation.
Yes,
okay?
and that would be bad if that were the case.
That is not what I believe happened here.
But if that were to be the case, would you be against it?
I certainly wouldn't like the connection to those two things.
But the money was being withheld prior, and the conversation was predicated on do us a favor.
You do realize before this ever blew up in the public's eye, he'd already released the aid. Apparently, folks like me...
September 11th, the day after Adam Schiff announced there was a whistleblower complaint, Ron.
Yes.
Timing perhaps conspicuous.
It's been released.
Maybe it was your trip, man. Maybe you freed up the money, Ron.
Maybe I'm more persuasive.
You know, maybe I let him off the hook a little bit, Dom.
Maybe.
Because September 11th, and back to the timeline, Patrick Marley at the Journal-Sentinel, he's sourcing from a Washington Post piece. September 11th, the Trump administration released the Ukraine aid that had been upheld since July or prior. And while Johnson has said Trump denied there was any quid pro quo, he also said that Trump specifically cited concerns about the 2016 election during their discussions. Here's a quote. Unlike the narrative of the press that President Trump wants to dig up dirt on his 2020 opponent, what he wants is an accounting of what happened in 2016, Johnson said in a combative October 6th appearance on NBC's Meet the Chuck Todd. Who set him up? Did they spring from Ukraine? ?
Who set him up? Trump was set up.
The president told me repeatedly in the May 23rd Oval Office visit on the phone on the 31st of August, the reason he had very legitimate concerns and reservations about Ukraine is first, corruption, generalized, and then specifically about what kind of interference there was in the 2016 election. And he put it, Please read the rest, man.
Okay, I'll wrap it up again.
Struggling on this final paragraph.
As he put it in a stop in Sheboygan last month, quote, the president was very consistent about why he was considering it. Again, it was corruption. Overall, generalized, no doubt about it. What happened in 2016? What happened in 2016? What was the truth about that?
The truth is out there, according to Ron Johnson.
Patrick Marley Journal Sentinel. Go ahead, Crudy.
You just got to look under some four-leaf clovers and around in the unicorn's nest,
General corruption?
Should we be troubled? I mean, could it be that Ron Johnson and Rudy Giuliani have inspired the impeachment of Donald Trump by spinning this conspiracy theory? We know Ron always liked a sidewinder, right? He was right out there at the beginning. Deep State, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. Well, he got a little out in front of his skis on that issue. But is it possible, Dom, that Ron Johnson gave some bad advice to either Giuliani or directly to the president, told him about this conspiracy theory? I hear they got the DNC servers in the Ukraine. We should really dig some dirt on this. Maybe Ron Johnson is going to get Donald Trump impeached.
Well, if that were to happen,
it'd be karma, wouldn't it?
How do we know that this Teleshenko guy wasn't somehow set up by the CIA to fool Ron Johnson into fooling Donald Trump? I mean, where does the conspiracy end?
Well, it usually ends at the Oval Office with Donald Trump.
All
Come
roads
back with
lead
us.
to Russia.
We are the devil's advocates. All roads lead to Putin. Dial us now, 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
You can't obstruct a crime that was never committed.
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
82998 wants to remind you that last month it was revealed to county supervisors that millions of budgeted transit dollars were deposited into county benefits. A national economist found numerous interesting trails. In one trail, the wheel tax increase went to the transit budget. The transit budget ran millions under, and at the end of the year, nearly that same amount was added to county benefits. At the same time, County Executive Abley also cut a number of routes in his budget. While you stand in a cold corner longer or walk further in the cold because of route cuts, the county management seems to be more about their political comfort. Pressure from citizens has forced Abley to pull back on some of those route cuts. More of your routes will be on the chopping block next week. You can stop this today by calling your county supervisor at 414-278-4222. That's 414-278-4222. Tell your county supervisor to stop route cuts.
This message paid for by ATU Local 998.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Gingras, Thompson, and Wachs, the attorneys with more power, more fight, and the most heart, are here to serve you, Milwaukee. From personal injury to civil rights cases, we are determined to combat dishonesty and injustice. And our team brings the fight with integrity, passion, and dedication that never quits. Together, we right the wrong, and we are ready for battle. There are law firms, and then there is Gingras, Thompson, and Wachs. Find us online at gtwlawyers.com.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Greatest radio show ever. Just ask us at 844-967-2789.
Dom, are we going back to the phones?
Let's do that. Bill from Oconomowoc. You will be next. Thank you for calling today. Bill, what do you got for us?
Hey, Bill.
Hey, you guys do a wonderful job. Here's what I think we have to do moving forward. We have to market the Republicans for what they are. Trump is Putin's puppet, and guys like Ron Johnson, co-conspirator, and we can't be insulted by their lack of intelligent rebuttals that make no sense at all, and they think we should even honor them with listening or debating. They're making no sense. They talk like a bunch of children. And we have to refer to them what they are, either a co-conspirator or Putin's puppet. And I'll leave you with this thought. I'm actually thinking of having a bumper sticker made. It says, "Stand up for America. Don't take a knee to Russia." Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Love it.
No puppet. No puppet.
No puppet. No puppet. I wonder, we still have Bill. You still there? You still with us, Bill? What do you think about this? And Crudy, I think you mentions it. I don't know if in jest, Crudy, you can let me know if you're serious about this. But when Senator Johnson was talking to this 29-year-old, this young man, what was his name, Tereshchenko, and perhaps this Tereshchenko was giving Ron Johnson this information, this background on the server and all the things that were going on apparently in Ukraine, and it wasn't really Russia, it was really the DNC, and it was really Ukraine. Do you think that perhaps Senator Johnson was passing along some bad information that Trump obviously eventually executed on?
I'm glad you asked me that. Thank you. Ron Johnson, to me, has zero credibility. He's actually in the negative side of credibility. And what comes out of that man's mouth and what you're talking about, he will do whatever it takes to keep this puppet we have for a president. He will do whatever it takes to promote his party's agenda, which is destroying Democrats. Newt Gingrich wrote a manifesto, and if you read it, he said, no longer will we teach Democrats as friends. We're at war. Well, let's go to war with these guys because they're communists. They're communist sympathizers. They make no sense. They insult guys like you and Mike with their lack of intelligence. How can you even talk to these people? They make no sense. They talk in circles. You wouldn't do this if they didn't have the title they have, but they have the title they have because of the amount of money that put into the system to get them where they are. It's just, a big pile of BS.
Appreciate the call, Bill. I don't mean to allow you to mischaracterize Republicans as communist. I'd say more along the line of fascist. Sort of autocratic, They're all down for whatever the exalted high leader wants.
Well, they're all down for whatever the oligarchs want, for whoever's scratching the check. Because really, the communism, the pure communists, would be the laborers, be all the workers, it'd be everybody, right? The state owns everything, not the oligarchs. But I hear what you're saying, Bill. I can appreciate it. I think fascist is probably more of an accurate description.
Dominic, former House Speaker Paul Ryan, remember him?
He's
got a new club. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan has launched a new nonprofit organization he says will be focused on fighting poverty, increasing economic opportunities, and advancing evidence-based public policies. When did they start with evidence-based public policies? Ryan announced the launch of the American Idea Foundation on Monday. He moved more than $7 million from his congressional account into the nonprofit when he announced its formation earlier this year. The foundation will be based in Ryan's hometown of Janesville.
Will he be taking a salary from the foundation?
I suspect he probably
so
will.
He can move his money from his campaign into a 501c3, which allows him to then draw a salary? ?
That's an excellent question, Dom. The reporting here does not really clarify that point. Come back with us. More of the happy hour, more of your calls. 844-967-2789.
You are talking about the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson.
Mueller, in an exhaustive and excruciatingly detailed investigation, found no evidence of conspiracy conclusion. End of story.
That you cannot say that. The evidence they found did not rise.
I just said
the evidence doesn't make it true, sir. The evidence they found, according to the Mueller report, did not rise to criminal conspiracy. They used encrypted data. They deleted data. They didn't have access to some of the Russian players. You didn't know that your president that you voted for was in negotiations to build a condo in Moscow and give Putin a cherry on top.
Just dropped your pen.
I did. I get a little excited.
Calm down here, Don.
But here's a lot of things that I would say, yes, there is absolutely collusion. Now, does it rise to criminal conspiracy? They could not prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, that's not no conspiracy.
I'm just watching
I know.
The veins pop out of your neck here, and I'm getting a little concerned about you, Don.
I'll be all right if you just answer the question, sir.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Thinking of a new electric bike next year? Well, fall's the best time to buy. Over $400 off any electric bike at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes. Make a down payment on a fall sale price, but you don't have to pick up the e-bike until April. Free winter storage. The guarantee starts when you pick up your new e-bike next April. $1,700 e-bikes are $1,200. $1,200 e-bikes are $900. $1,100 e-bikes are $600 for a new e-bike. Fall is the time to get a new e-bike. Save $400. Pick it up in April at Crazy Lenny's.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in the former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet-friendly, cash-only order-in classic corner tavern.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Go back to where they came from, help those people come back and show us how to do it. That was the full quote.
They didn't come from anywhere. They were here, dude. Are you employed, Chris?
I am.
Do you have an HR department?
Yes, I do. I'm a union machinist.
Oh, do you work with minorities?
I do.
If you walked up to one of your coworkers who was a minority, you told them to go back to where they came from, would HR have a conversation with you about that, do you think?
It depends on the person, really. I mean, some people are...
If somebody complained to HR about what you said, do you think they would have a conversation with you about that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, but why? Why would they pull you off of your job to discuss this with you, and what do you think their beef would be?
Because they're trying to protect the corporation from lawsuits.
Lawsuit for what?
Discrimination, racism.
So if your coworkers, if you say it to your coworker, it could be described as discrimination or racism. But when the president says it to the world, it's not racist?
No. Yikes.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A subpoena was issued Friday to the former head of Wisconsin's Republican Party as part of the impeachment inquiry in Washington. Michael Duffy, who is now in charge of national security at the Office of Management and Budget, was previously told to appear on November 5th for a deposition, but last Monday, Duffy's boss, acting OMB Director Russell Vaught, said in a tweet that he and Duffy would not be complying with the request to appear. The subpoena issued on Friday included a warning that their failure to appear, quote, shall constitute evidence of obstruction of the House's impeachment inquiry and may be used as an adverse inference against the president. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's Political Talk.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, the Monday happy hour, it continues a little closer to home. A little Wisconsin politics. And Robin Vos, you know Boss Vos, our own little homegrown fascist Dom. Well, he has decided on behalf of the American people and the people here in the great state of Wisconsin, he is going to ignore the will of his constituencies.
Again?
Doesn't matter how popular proposed legislation may be. You'll get no hearings. You'll get no up or down votes. Hell, you will not get the truth from Robin Vos because it sounds better, at least his point of view, if he frickin' lies about it.
You'll get nothing and like it.
PolitiFact Wisconsin caught him in his most recent lie, Dom. Here is what Robin Vos is attributed to having said Tuesday, October 22nd, in an interview, in this case with Charles Benson. Says red flag laws allow gun seizure without a judge's involvement. They take it away first, then you have to get permission from a judge to do it. And the question, asked by Eric Litke at PolitiFact Wisconsin, do red flag laws allow gun seizure without a judge's okay? They do not. But let's jump into the body of this piece, Dom. The partisan divide over gun control in Wisconsin is as stark as it's ever been. Frustrated by a lack of Republican action on the topic, Governor Tony Evers has called a special session of the state legislature. He wanted lawmakers to take up so-called red flag laws, which would allow judges to take guns away from people who are deemed to be a danger, and expansion of gun background checks to include sales between private parties. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald promptly announced he would likely adjourn this session as soon as it begins, refusing to even vote on the proposals. Meanwhile, the state legislature's other lead Republican, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, has been making the media rounds to defend Republican inaction and condemn Evers' proposals. That included a Facebook Live interview with WTMJ TV's Charles Benson on October 22nd. Their conversation turned to red flag laws, also referred to as emergency risk protection orders. Here's part of the exchange, Dom. Vos, red flag laws. It's basically like saying we're going to take away your car because we think you could drive drunk. It's crazy. Benson, but a judge has to decide that. Vos, no, they take away your weapon first. Then you have to go and ask permission to get the weapon back.
Crudy Vos later reiterated his description while criticizing how the Marquette University Law School poll summarized the red flag laws as, quote, allowing the police to take guns away from people who have been found by a judge to be a danger to themselves or others, unquote. In late August, the poll showed 81% of respondents in support. Here's what Vos said. That's not the way the red flag law works. They take it away first, then you have to get permission from a judge to do it. Is Vos right that the red flag laws allow guns to be seized before a judge gets involved?
No, not really.
Let's dig in, Crudy, from PolitiFact. Red flags law provide a mechanism to take guns from people exhibiting dangerous behavior before they harm themselves or others. The first such law was passed in Connecticut in 1990, but the second didn't appear until Indiana's in 2005. More states have adopted such laws in recent years in the wake of mass shootings by people who had exhibited earlier warning signs. At least 17 states and the District of Columbia now have a red flag law, including several passed in 2019, according to the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, a research and advocacy organization. Every state allows law enforcement to seek the removal of guns. 12 allow family or household members to do as well, and a smattering of states also allow petitions from medical professionals, co-workers, and school officials. Typically, a judge or other judicial officer, such as a court commissioner, hears the request and then decides whether to issue a preliminary order without holding a hearing or notifying the gun order. These orders are temporary and last from 2 to 21 days, depending on the state, according to an issue brief put together by the nonpartisan Wisconsin Legislative Council. The gun owner then has a chance to make his or her case at a hearing before a judge decides on a final order. That order commonly lasts for a year. Different states have different burdens of proofs that must be met for a judge to issue an order, such as finding the individual possesses a significant risk or that there is a clear and convincing evidence. If an order is issued, some states require guns to be turned over immediately, while others allow a short period of time. A search warrant authorizing seizure can also be issued in some states. Evers' proposed red flag law for Wisconsin requires a hearing within 14 days of the preliminary order and makes a final order valid for a year. It says guns should be seized if the judge finds, quote, reasonable grounds that the respondent is substantially likely to harm themselves or others. Requests can be made to either extend the final order or end it early. State law already requires guns to be surrendered as a result of other judicial findings, such as mental health commitments or restraining orders, according, Crudy, to the Legislative Council.
So here's Vos's defense. Boss Vos, I prefer. You may have noticed the word judge appeared frequently in the summary above. The Wisconsin proposal, contrary to Vos's description, doesn't allow any guns to be seized without a judicial order. Big fat liar, I'd say, Dom. As for evidence that judges aren't initially involved in red flag law seizures, Vos's spokeswoman, Kit Beyer, said Vos misheard the question. Sure he did. Speaker Vos thought Charles Benson had asked if the accused goes before a judge prior to an order to surrender, but that explanation doesn't strike us as reasonable. Benson's initial question about the red flag law was far less specific, asking if Voss thinks Wisconsin residents want to see it passed. And Voss's second reference to a lack of judicial sign-off came after Benson simply read the wording of the Marquette poll. Descriptions of red flag laws consistently refer to decisions being made by judges. That was the terminology used by Giffords, the Legislative Council, the National Conference of State Legislatures, the New York Times, and many others. But there is an exception. Indiana's law allows police to seize firearms without first obtaining a judicial order. However, they must then submit a statement to a judge who can overturn the officer's decision and refuse to issue a preliminary order, according to Giffords. Similar to other states, that preliminary order requiring a hearing on the final order can be held or must be held within 14 days. Beyer says Voss's primary concern with the red flag laws relates to due process, since the preliminary order can be issued without the individual having a chance to dispute it. That is the core objection from other conservatives and groups that oppose the red flag laws as well, including the National Rifle Association. And I'm sure they're completely sincere and not disingenuous in their rationale at all, Don, but let me read on. Red flag laws have been challenged in other states, but courts have upheld them as constitutional on both Second Amendment and due process grounds, the Legislative Council said. That includes a ruling upholding the Florida law in September of 2019.
Crudy, the PolitiFact ruling. And to recap, Voss said red flag laws mean they take it away first, then you have to get permission from a judge to do it. But red flag laws, including the one proposed in Wisconsin, don't typically work like that. They involve police or family petitioning a judge who must sign a preliminary order before any guns can be seized. Indiana does have a law set up as Voss describes, but even there, the seizure decision by police is subject to immediate judicial review, and that's the exception, not the rule. We rate Voss's claim, mostly false.
Why not pants on fire, liar, liar? I mean, that's not Tony Evers' proposal. That's not the red flag law that Tony Evers would advocate for here in the state of Wisconsin. What, you're going to give him the break because he can find, or you can find on his behalf, some sort of parallel, perhaps, maybe, with the lone Indiana law that's somehow different from the rest?
And yeah,
he's purposefully lying to the people of Wisconsin here, right, Dom?
I have to assume.
I wish you weren't a liar.
I have to assume that he grasps the concept, that he understands how the laws work. I have to assume that.
He doesn't strike me as a stupid man. In fact, very intelligent, very strategic, one might say, Dom. I think this is a strategic lie on Robin Voss's behalf, and he's been doing that at minimum since Tony Evers got elected, right?
And
I mean, everything is Tony Evers' fault. Everything is unconstitutional to hear Robin Voss tell it. Any effort by the Democrats to govern, well, that's not going to be permitted. Not in Robin Voss's world.
Well, he misheard the question is one of the excuses, but did he also misunderstand, mischaracterize perhaps the Marquette University Law School poll question?
Which he said they were misleading.
Yes, and here's what the actual question is: allowing the police to take guns away from people who have been found by a judge to be a danger to themselves or others.
Well, it's misleading because according to his fictional narrative, Dom, there's no judge involved. There's no due process. Kind of like the president's future and pending impeachment. No due process.
Thank you,
I mean,
PolitiFact.
Isn't it great? Republicans, their only argument at this point is to attack the machinations of the process, because the overwhelming number of Wisconsinites, according to Marquette polling or others, that would go and advocate for red flag laws, would advocate for universal background searches. I mean, you're talking 4 out of 5 dentists at this point. You're talking 80% of Wisconsinites. And Dom, this is not the only issue that Wisconsin Republicans are ignoring the will of the people. We talk about medicinal marijuana, hell, recreational marijuana, red flag laws, universal background searches, Medicaid expansion. There are any number of issues here in the state of Wisconsin that the Wisconsin electorate overwhelmingly supports. And it can't all be misleading questions from Charles Franklin, because as we all know, Charles just oversamples Republicans every time anyways. That would offset any questions about the
Well,
questions,
come on.
my opinion.
What about the lame duck coup, Crudy? Did the majority of Wisconsinites support that? They went through with that, right? Was that following the will of the people?
Sheila Plotkin, citizen activist, sought open records request from Wisconsin lawmakers. 14 Republicans, they fought, they tried to charge her money, but eventually they relinquished at the threat of lawsuits. And we found out about 98% of Wisconsinites expressing an opinion to their lawmaker said, don't do this, petty lame duck Republicans. And of course, they promptly did. And then, let's not forget, Tom, the first sign of trouble with Foxconn, they pointed at Tony Evers and they said, what'd you do?
Oh, God, don't even get me going on Foxconn, man. The Republicans, following the will of Wisconsinites, no, not one little bit. Not with the lame duck, not with legalized marijuana, not with Medicaid expansion, not with any of these issues, not with background checks. We already have background checks on all sorts of situations and scenarios. And what is so dangerous to your Second Amendment rights if we expand those current background checks, which I guess Vos supports, because otherwise he'd be out there trying to repeal them, right? Well, why not expand them to have it cover gun shows and personal sales as well?
Well, Robin and Ron, they're both part of a very important club, Dom. I would suspect they both joined QAnon. Them and that guy down in the bar in Columbus. I hope his buddy doesn't track me down. I think I owe Monopoly Paul $100, but I'm not mailing out a check for $100 to a guy at a bar named Monopoly Paul. Wow. You got my card, Paul. Call us, 844-967-2789. A Crudy always pays his debts.
I don't care about those people, man. I could care less what they think.
No, I don't see it. I don't see the support. I don't support it.
People selling people to people.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
I don't see the support. I don't support it.
Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald doesn't see the support for legalized medicinal marijuana, even though the 2018 midterm referendum in 11 counties and the city of Waukesha passed by over 79%. Call Scott Fitzgerald at 608-266-5660. Tell him you support legalized medicinal marijuana.
No, I don't see it.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org. P4ppc.org. This is Dom from the Devil's Advocates. In the 7 years that Crudy and I have been doing the show, we have never had a more engaged, dialed in, and motivated audience, and we love them for it. Now is the time for you to reach the greatest audience ever. Call now, advertise with the Devil's Advocates and Real Resistance Radio. Market your products or services, get your message out, join the resistance. Call us at 414-635-0872. That's 414-635-0872, or go to realresistanceradio.com.
The Devil's Advocates.
Doug from Cudahy.
Right around the time of the uprising, I found you. I started listening, and 2 years later, after I signed the recall and voted, we went out to sing along with the singers on my birthday. And they were so cool, and it's one of the greatest memories that I had. And ever since I started listening to the Devil's Advocates, I have been woke. I haven't missed one vote since. You guys have really done wonders for our community, and I'm just so happy you're on the air.
Making radio great again. The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open. Last segment of the day, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, jumping back to this topic of the lame duck and Tony Evers, governor of the great state of Wisconsin, Scott Bauer from the Associated Press writes, we found this piece at yahoo.news. Frustrated Democratic governors find ways to sidestep GOP. At least they try. Wisconsin Democratic Governor Tony Evers tried for months to get the Republican-controlled legislature to take up a pair of gun control bills, holding news conferences and touting polling showing strong public support. When Republicans wouldn't budge, Evers turned up the heat by turning to other powers of his office, using an executive order, his 54th in less than a year, to call a special session on the issue. We need an up or down vote, Evers says. We have to get this done, folks. Evers isn't the only frustrated Democratic governor looking for ways to get around Republican majorities firmly against their agenda. Turning to executive orders is reminiscent of the growing use of similar power by President Donald Trump and Barack Obama before him to accomplish their goals without the lawmakers' agreement. In Wisconsin, North Carolina, and other states, governors are getting creative to advance their agendas with varying degrees of success. Evers' use of his broad veto power has so angered Republicans they filed a lawsuit and tried to amend the state constitution to block the governor. And in Pennsylvania, Governor Tom Wolf has signed numerous executive orders while Democrats' agenda is stalled in the GOP-controlled legislature, including calling for new gun violence prevention programs. In Kansas, Governor Laura Kelly had state agencies enact one of the nation's most aggressive policies for collecting state and local taxes on online sales. And in North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper issued executive orders designed to reduce statewide greenhouse gas emissions and bar LGBT discrimination in state employee hiring and awarding government contracts.
Crudy, turning to executive orders is a rational reaction by an executive who finds their agenda gummed up by a state legislature, said University of Wisconsin political director Barry Burden. To be able to show voters what they've accomplished, governors start to look at things that they can do unilaterally. Evers, like past governors, largely uses executive orders for routine ceremonial purposes, like honoring soldiers and police officers killed in the line of duty. But he also used them to raise a gay pride flag over the Capitol, recall Wisconsin National Guard troops sent to the southern border by his Republican predecessor, and form a task force on climate change. It's a power play that has its limits. Republicans greeted his order for a special session next month on guns by saying they would convene and immediately adjourn. In North Carolina, Republicans frustrated because Cooper vetoed the 2-year state budget are passing many budgets largely containing popular items and daring the governor to veto them. Cooper has signed all but one into law, giving him less room to negotiate. In addition to executive orders, governors can impose their power through appointments, sometimes by filing lawsuits, and in how they direct state agencies, Burden said. Evers, for example, has directed the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to make combating climate change a priority. He used his veto power to recast the state budget in dozens of ways, including increasing funding for schools. Republicans are now trying to scale back his veto powers through a lawsuit that the conservative-controlled Supreme Court agreed this month to hear directly, and a constitutional amendment. When it comes to enacting laws, Republican-controlled legislatures have shown little appetite for working with Democratic governors in recent years. The contrast is particularly stark in Wisconsin. In 8 years as governor, Republican Scott Walker signed an average of 179 bills a year. The last time there was divided government in the 2007-2008 session, Democratic Governor Jim Doyle signed 242 bills into law when Republicans controlled one chamber of the legislature. The session before that, Doyle signed 491 bills into law, even though Republicans controlled both the Senate and Assembly. Evers has signed just 19 bills into law.
Well, he signed the Republican budget, Dom. No veto there.
There's got to be more than 20 issues that are confronting Wisconsin, from small to very large, Doyle said. It's obvious things aren't getting done. Democrats argue Republicans are dodging issues that voters care about, including gun control, legalizing marijuana, expanding Medicaid, creating a nonpartisan redistricting process, let's not forget that one, raising the minimum wage, and further increasing school funding. Republican Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald said the legislature's role was to play goalie and block bad ideas from coming from Evers. There's no incentive to pass a bill that Evers is going to veto, Fitzgerald said. Republican State Senator Luther Olson, who was in the legislature when Doyle was governor, said the problem is that Evers has not built relationships with lawmakers. He predicted few bills of consequence will pass, But he's not worried. At the end of the day, the state will be just fine, Olson said.
844-967-2789. Jay from Madison, you're next. Welcome.
Hey,
I'm
Jay.
just wondering, is the Wisconsin Democratic Party, do they have someone in Voss's area, like doing some baseball scouting for someone to run against him?
You would hope, right?
I'm not clear. I'm not clear who the opponent of Robin Voss would be on the Democratic side at this point, Jay. If there is a candidate, they are unknown to me, and I know that Dom's not paying attention, so unknown to this fine show.
I think it's very important that we find someone as soon as we can and just get their name as much airtime as they can.
I appreciate that, Jay. We would certainly help in any way we could. Just let us know. 844-967-2789. If you're a Democrat running against Robin Voss, you will go to the top of the list.
Absolutely.
How about you, Robert? You running for Speaker of the Assembly?
I wish. No, I think a Brock from Horicon or a Dick from Madison, they'd be great people to run against, Fitzgerald or one of these guys. I hope we replace them. But aren't you guys getting tired of these country bumpkins? I mean, they have these seats, and, these guys keep getting reelected by these small population in these rural areas, and they're dictating to everyone else where the majority of the population lives. Is there any mechanism where they can shrink how many seats they have at the state level so that they have less representation? It just seems like these rural areas have way too much power that are putting these guys in office.
Well, it's not the number of representatives. I believe we have 99 assembly people. We have 33 senators. 3 assembly districts make up one senatorial district. I mean, I'm okay with the math, Robert. The problem is the gerrymandering. The problem is these Republicans do not reflect the will of their own constituencies. I mean, they don't reflect the will of the people of Wisconsin. Not when 81% would favor red flag laws, 80% would favor universal background checks, about 80% would favor legalized medicinal marijuana, and 77% would favor a Medicaid expansion. Yet none of those policies will come to the floor. There won't even be an up or down vote, Robert.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're tone deaf. We're definitely going to have to run some people against these guys to have them wake up a little bit. So thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. I don't know about tone deaf. I mean, I would assume many of them are tone deaf, but I mean, that's not their thing. They're not. They take their campaign contributions and their orders from the moneyed. And the NRA has a lot of power even to this day.
Jessie Apoyan will be our fine guest in the happy hour tomorrow. She wrote op-ed and editorial today for the Cap Times, and she said, at least have the debate, bring it to the floor. Sometimes democracy is ugly, sometimes the debate doesn't seem to accomplish anything, but to tell us that you don't have the votes and therefore there will not be a vote
to do
that
nothing
does not advance the ball down the field whatsoever.
Doing nothing is an option, and that's obviously what the Republicans are embracing these days. Doing nothing, playing goalie. I say, pull the goalie.
Devil's Advocates, we're all done for today. Thank you all for listening. Stick around. More great programming on WRD 1510 AM and Talk 92.7 FM.
I am the chosen one.
Is this heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
Thinking of a new electric bike next year? Well, fall's the best time to buy. Over $400 off any electric bike at Crazy Lenny's e-bikes. Make a down payment on a fall sale price, but you don't have to pick up the e-bike until April. Free winter storage. The guarantee starts when you pick up your new e-bike next April. $1,700 e-bikes are $1,200. $1,200 e-bikes are $900. $1,100 e-bikes are $600 for a new e-bike. Fall is the time